It is good to see everybody. Dare I say I missed you over the weekend? I'm not going to lie. Dare I say I missed you over the weekend? But we are here, okay? We are all here, reunited, and it feels so good. Some of you are too young to know what that reference is, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to hold you down. I'm going to hold you down, baby boys and baby girls. And before I even get a mic check, I get a super chat. Thank you so much, Corette, for supporting On the Block with Jen. Let me get a mic check, you guys. Mic check 1 2 1 2. 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 Speaking of mic check, I ordered a mic today. Okay, I'm very, very stubborn, and I was like, I don't need a mic. You guys can hear me fine, but I've gotten too much requests for a mic, so here I ordered a mic. Thank you, NYA Show. Yes, honey. All right. Welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. I'm YouTube's bad girl and your favorite devil's advocate, Jen. Okay. You can reach me on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, On the Block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to Gmail me about some business, about a collaboration, about a topic you'd like me and my panel to discuss and dissect, On the Block with Jen at Gmail. If you want to support the show and help mama keep the church lights on like Code Red just did, hit me with a super chat. Jen, what's a super chat? What's that? I'm new to YouTube. I just got to this planet. What the fuck is that? Super chat is that $ in the bottom right of the comment section. You can throw your question or your comment in there, and I hear you better. I hear you better when it's attached to a super chat, okay? Or if Cash App is your thing, it is scrolling on the bottom. You can hit me with a Cash App, On the Block with Jen as well. That's my Cash App, On the Block with Jen. And those I get if you're catching the replay and you like the stream. You're like, oh man, I can't give her a super chat, though I would love to freaking support the show. Then you can hit me at the Cash App, On the Block with Jen. That's open 24 hours a day. So mama will be asleep and my phone will bing and I'll be like, oh shit, look at them supporting the show even when I'm not on. Okay, so you guys can do that too. A couple of people have done that. Thank you so much. Okay, when I haven't been live, a couple of people have done that. So let's get into this, honey. Let's get into this. Oh my goodness, the YouTube screens are ablaze. Okay, the YouTube screens are ablaze with this story. We may be here a little while, so I got my water and my banana that I'm gonna eat very, very, you know what I mean, in a manly way, right? Because I don't want to get screenshot like, right? So I'll be eating that in a minute because I got to keep snacking throughout the day. Okay. I'm going to drop the link early. Tonight's topic is, I'm sure you've seen it, passport bro ousted out of Brazil by Brazilians. What? I thought the passport bros were living large abroad. I thought everybody loved them and worshiped them abroad. Come to find out, one of them got ousted. Now, some people are calling him the leader of the passport bros, and some other passport bros are like, he ain't our leader. Either way, he's a staple in the passport bro section of YouTube, right? There's sections, all right? There's sections. I don't know about spaces. A lot of people are like, you're in our spaces. You're in this space. Ain't no fucking spaces. There are sections on YouTube, and there's a section for passport bros, okay? I don't know a lot about these cats. I just learned about this guy, Austin Holloman, literally yesterday, okay? Literally yesterday. People were like, yo, did you hear the passport bro story? I'm like, no, who, what, when, where? I started watching some other streamers like Tanya TKO. She had some great information about it. So I was like, let's dissect, because as you guys know, I've had streams before discussing the passport bros and what I think about them. And I had some great gentlemen up here and they told me what they think about them. So we talked about the passport bros before, but I think this story right here is big news only because passport bros swear by other countries worshiping them. Everybody loves them overseas. They will not tell you different, okay? They are gods overseas, according to them. But this guy, Austin Holloman, was ousted, okay? His life was threatened. They were basically like, get the fuck out and get the fuck on. Is this the beginning of the end for the passport bros? Are more people in these countries that they fly to for easy ass, like the Philippines, like the Dominican Republic, like Colombia? Is this the beginning of people raising an eyebrow like, who are those 15 dudes on the beach waving $40 at the young girls. Who are them guys over there waving those $40 at our young girls? Is this the beginning of the end? Is there going to be some legislation? Are there going to be some new laws and rules when these guys flying in droves with their $40? I don't know. You know, a lot of these countries, whether they're third world, second world, or whatever, even like, you know, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Bahamas, right? They depend on tourism. They depend on people vacationing there. But are these guys worth it? Do these guys spend a lot of money when they get there, or do they fly there and get the cheapest Airbnb or shack up with somebody in the poorest neighborhood just so they have access to these girls that are desperate? Okay, and I know what you're thinking. Not all those women are desperate or destitute. They're all waiting for these black men to swoop in and save them from the world. And they want to be the wives of these black men, and they want to come to America. Free will and all that. They're waiting, bated breath, for these black guys to fly in with their $40 and save them from a hell and destruction of their, country. I don't know. Some people may say these women are waiting for them and they appreciate black men, right? We've seen some videos of some Filipino women online. Yes, we will take your black man. And I know you know what girl I'm talking about. We will take your black man. If you don't want your black man and your black men's fly here, we want your black man's. I know you guys seen the video. I know I'm not the only one that's seen that chick in that video. You don't want the black mans, so we will take the black mans. So black mans, please come here and we will take you. Now, I don't know about y'all, okay, but I know a bottom bitch and a pimp when I see one. I don't know about y'all, but I know a bottom bitch and a pimp when I see one. And of course, if this chick thinks that these men are coming in and dropping money on the poor women in their country, she's going to get on YouTube and solicit them. She's going to get on YouTube and solicit them and try to get the Johns and the tricks to fly into her country to help out the broken, destitute women. But the average man, I'm sorry, is a simpleton. So he's thinking that this woman is really appreciating, out of all the men in the world, she's really appreciating these black men who come in with a couple dollars to save these women. So she gets on YouTube and lets everybody know that she wants the black men's, okay? If you don't want the black men's, let the black men's go, because as Filipino, we want your black men's. You've all seen the video. I know you've seen the video because she went viral, okay? Passport Bros are sure to share that video and reshare and reshare and reshare. I couldn't help but see it. She's all up and fucking down the timelines of YouTube because she wants the black men's that the Americans do not want. So the black men's, come here to the Philippines and we will love you and be your girlfriend, okay? You've seen the video. You've seen the video, okay? But I don't know about y'all. Look like bottom bitch language to me, okay? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Shorty's working with some pimps out there. Maybe she feels like it helps the economy. Maybe she feels like it's a way out for the poor women in her country. But it looks a little sus to me. And I'm not saying, I'm just saying, okay? Her little ad for come to the Philippines because we love you long time here. It looked a little sus to me. But I'm from New York. I don't trust a motherfucker from nowhere, okay? I don't trust a motherfucker as far as I could throw him. Looked a little sus to me. Looked a little sus, okay? Looked a little bottom bitchy to me, but I'm cynical. So I'm going to drop the link and get my people up here. Let's discuss this. Mi gente, everybody in the chat, you guys are more than welcome to come up on the panel, okay? We're not fish in a bowl. You can come up and join us on the panel long as you show your face, okay? And you don't act the monkey ass fool up here. You are more than welcome to become, a retort, contradict, clap back. You are more than welcome, but I need your face. We do faces on the block, right? Ain't no different than in a block in New York City. Everybody's on the stoop. Everybody's on the block. We sitting on the cars and we saying it with our fucking face, okay? That's how we do it on the block. So I need your face. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to talk shit in the chat. That's also welcome, okay? But if you come up here to talk to us, yeah, we need your grill, okay? We need your... Code Red is not lying. Code Red said Jen doesn't trust Jesus. I don't know that man. Why I need to trust Jesus? I ain't never met him. I don't know his cousins. I don't know who he is. Why I got to trust Jesus? I don't know that man. Absolutely right, Code Red. Yeah, so let me drop the link. Did I drop it? Did I drop it and y'all kept talking and it went up? I thought I dropped it. Maybe I didn't. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Ooh, and I'll tell you, this story has grown some big hairy legs, and everybody is running it with it. By the way, the man in question, Austin Holloman, he fled out of Brazil. And it's funny because, you know, you guys are usually fleeing towards the countries for the women, but he fled out of Brazil, though he was living there. Okay, they kicked his ass out and he ran for his life back to the States. So I'm sure he's kissing US soil. Okay, after all the shit he talked about America. Remember Brittany Griner? Remember you guys were saying like, yeah, I bet she love America now. I bet she ain't talking no shit now. I need to see the same energy for this Austin Holloman. I need to see the same energy kept, okay? Because Austin Holloman was sitting like a little bug in a rug, happy in Brazil, talking about the women, talking about the people, talking about the food, talking about the air. He said it was making his skin glow to be in Brazil. I bet he happy to be back now, right? Because the Brazilians were threatening his life. Okay, it was threatening his life. And it's an interesting phenomenon, these passport bros, because you know, he himself admitted that he knows that no matter what woman he gets with in Brazil, once he's out of the country, they're sleeping with other men, right? That's what these women are going to do. They're not going to wait for they're not waiting for the passport bro to come back. Those women are a business. It's a business. It's not personal. And, you know, if Joe Schmo flies in after you fly out, guess what? She love him long time too. She got to love him long time too, because we want the black men's, all the black men's that the black women's don't want. We want them, right? So she has to keep the business going. And even Austin Holloman admitted that. He said that he knew when he's not there, they're sleeping with other women, with other men, which is quite curious because remember, you guys don't like a hoe. You guys don't like a hoe, remember? I mean, you say it all the time. You do 5, 6, 7 hour streams about being anti-hoe. You guys don't like a hoe. You guys loathe the idea of a body count. So that's interesting to me. So it sounds like almost, if I had to guess, what you want isn't easy to get a hoe. You want a hoe at a discount because you know the hoes in America are fuck you, pay me, right? So what you want is the hoe is like, love you long time. I want you here. So it's just a matter of dialogue, I think, and tone of voice, right? Where in America, you're going to hear, motherfucker, what bill you going to pay? Okay? Because time is money, right? But in the Philippines, you're going to hear, we love you long time, okay? I be your girlfriend from Tuesday to Thursday because then Tyrone flies in and I got to love him long time too. Right? So it sounds to me like it's just tone. You want your money taken from you nicely. And I get it. I've been to restaurants and I want to be treated nicely if I'm giving them my money. I don't want a waitress to come up and throw the food at me. Treat me nice. Talk to me nice so I can give you my money. So in the passport bro's defense, I get it. If you are going to give your money to a woman, you want her to ask nicely and love you long time. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But let's dissect. I'm not letting y'all off the hook. On that note, I'd like to welcome No Saint to the panel. Sit up, baby. Sit up, baby. We alive. We breathing. We got air in our lungs.
You see, I'm here sitting, right?
Yes. Hi, Joanna. How are you? Joanna, I know. Listen, do we need to pay your light bill, Joanna? What's going on there? You always in the dark. You always in the dark, mama. Let's see that beautiful chocolate skin. Help us out. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like the heavens just opened up. Thank you. That's what I need to say.
I get sleepy and I like it to be dark, so I don't have to get up and turn off the light to go to bed. I just say night and lay down.
Okay, your sound is a little choppy.
Okay.
It's that Arkansas internet.
The Arkansas internet? I believe I've been to Arkansas. I like bothering people. And saying Arkansas. People from Arkansas hate it. I'm like, it's Arkansas.
Yes.
No, it's Arkansas. Now I got love for people. Miss Polly, how are you, lovely lady?
Check it out, Miss Polly.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi. Listen, the block is hot tonight. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about this because listen, the passport bros have been talking about that they're worshipped out in these countries. Everybody love on them in these countries, and the person that led the charge on getting Austin Holloman the fuck up out of Brazil was a woman, a Brazilian woman.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys are saying, we're worshipped. We're worshipped in these countries. They love us in these countries. Not so much. Not so much. Hey, Joanna, welcome back.
How's it sound now?
A little like you're underwater. Like everyone's waited bated breath for me to take a bite. And this is how I'm going to eat my shit tonight. Nothing sexy about it. Not going to get me in a screenshot, bitch. Okay, continue. So it was a woman that led the charge. Okay. Her name is Stephanie. I love her already. I'm following her on Instagram. I gave her a yes, girl. Yes, you got full support from America from me, all the way from fucking Nevada. Yes, honey. Yes. So her name is, just to be clear and give her credit. Yes, I'm coming. No saying yes, yes. I just got your DM. So her name is Stephanie Ribeiro, like Alfonso Ribeiro, or Alfonso Ribeiro here, Carlton. Her name is Stephanie Ribeiro. She's on Instagram. She has a huge social media following. And this is when having a huge social media following is being used for good. Tristan, I'm going to hurt you.
Well, listen. I'm selling these passports, okay? I got y'all kings from Wakanda.
I want one. I want one to cover my password. So Stephanie Ribeiro, she has a huge social media following, and I love what she said. Okay, she tweeted. I gotta read this because it's too good. I have to give her all the props in the world. Let me tell you, strong women are sexy as fuck. She says on her Twitter, laughing out loud, we knocked out a congressman in Brazil with similar thoughts about women. Who is this YouTuber? Let's go after him. And that was the beginning, okay? The beginning of the end for Mr. Austin Holloman. They even put his dumb ass in their newspaper, in the Brazilian newspaper. They blasted him, okay? Full color photo in the Brazilian newspaper, and he fled. He had no choice but to flee. He did do an apology. He did about a 10-minute apology. It's on his page. He's playing a little violin and saying, no, I didn't know, and I shouldn't have, and I should have had, and maybe I did too many videos of women. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I love the Brazilian people and the Brazilian women, right? I don't want to be, and the women out here are better than the one, the whole spiel. It's the one thing about men on YouTube, they're all parrots. They're all parrots. They all say the same thing. So what I'm saying about Austin Holloman is literally what they all say. Seen one, seen them all. Black women are too combative. These women are nicer. The video that really got under Stephanie Ribeiro's skin, and she's not the only one. I also saw a woman from the Dominican Republic who also has a huge following, be anti the passport bros, though these passport bros claim that they're loved in these countries, right? Basically the video that got on her nerves was this man, Austin Holloman, was on the beach and he was talking to women, which he often does, and puts them on camera and uses it as content for his YouTube. And he was asking her, how fast, if I met you, could you go back home with me? Do you have to like me? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, I guess I'd go back home. Yeah, I would go home with you. And when would you kiss me? When would you kiss me, right? Like real dweeby, like, but a lot of these passport bros are dweebs. That's just, I'm calling it like I see it. And she was like, yeah, I would kiss you. And then he looks in the camera, he says, get your passport. Get your passport. In other words, he is advertising these women like they're on a store shelf on sale. Okay. Stephanie Ribeiro saw that and blasted him, and he had to flee the country. He had to flee, and now he's in America, copping a plea to the Brazilian folks, getting death threats. His Instagram comments are lit. Okay, so he got the attention he wanted. I'm going to pass the mic. What say you?
Ladies first.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I will just speak for a second because I might have to run away. It's still. I know it's still a child. You know, children still around at this moment, but
Okay. You froze. Joanna, you up?
Can you hear me better?
Can you hear me still?
Yep. Your connection is crappy. All right, go ahead, Miss Polly, because you froze.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's on me. But I know I do want to say that, yeah, I have seen what we were talking about before this topic came up, where you're advertising men to go to other places, where women, obviously the quality of life may be lower, and you're gonna advertise, okay, I have this different kind of life, and you can enjoy me as a man or whatever. So you look better in the eyes of someone in poverty, and that's not that everyone's in poverty, but we have to be realistic. We're not in a third world country, and a lot of these places are still considered third world countries. And so then you're saying you're advertising that. So it is a problem when you're advertising to men, especially men who are not educated well in cultural education. What I mean is culturally, there are differences. And then you have these men go somewhere thinking that it's just I'm just going to walk down the street and everyone's going to think I'm the greatest thing since everything, no matter what I look like or anything, as long as I can give them a few dollars, she's going to do everything I want. I mean, that's kind of how they're portraying it. So I understand why they're upset. I'm glad they ran them out, because that's definitely not anything you want in your country where women are seen as, once again, items. You're just seen as an item. Let me go pick me up a carton of milk and take it home. And you're doing that to women. Then you'll have those sickos go out there raping and doing all kinds of things to these young girls who think, oh, he may be going to give me another life, and she's 18 and he's 43 and he's really just trying to get a young thing. Same thing when people are going to Russia. We don't need child brides. I'm not saying everyone's a child bride. We don't need that kind of stereotype or spirit, going out to these places and coming back. There are sickos out there. Let's just be realistic. They're just, and they're here too. And they go out here and they'll be able to do it. It's just bad. So I'm glad he's not there anymore, for the short part. And then I'll pass the mic and I'll come back in a little bit. I'll get myself together. Okay.
Please, we need to get light on the ladies, por favor. Lily.
Hey, I don't know if y'all can hear my neighbors. It sounds like they're having an MLK party.
Oh, hey. Okay.
Well, at least they're not beating each other up tonight. And that's all we are asking for on MLK Day.
It's the little things, Lily. It's the little things.
It is.
Put the party flyer up?
What's that?
Did they put up the party flyer that I've been seeing all over the internet? Those MLK party flyers?
No, but I wouldn't have came anyway, because there'd be too much going on over there. I don't know if they fighting or friends, or I don't know. I just can't keep up. But yeah, there's a lot to this. There really is. It's very multi-layered. You and I kind of went back and forth a little bit yesterday, but it's very multi-layered. But one of the things I think we can all agree on is that the large majority, very, very large majority of these men that choose to be passport bros are not the pick of the litter here in the U.S.
Correct.
And so now we got, and he's just the one that got caught. Let's be really clear about that. But we have men that go over to these third world countries and exploit these young women, right? Mm-hmm. And I was watching a video yesterday, and the girl brought up a really good point about where is the protection for these women? Like, you want to bring them back home to what? Like, because people lie. Like, you say you don't trust Jesus. I heard you. I was on my way home. I literally just ran in the door, and I'm eating too. But yeah, like, Where's he bringing them back to? What kind of living conditions? What kind of person is this? You just think about the sickos that we've met just dating in our lifetime, right? And a lot of times we think that they are not the pick of the litter because of their money, right? But okay, let's explore both options. Let's explore if it's a person without the means. So you don't have a lot of means to survive here in the U.S., but you're going to take away from one of your bills that you could barely pay to go over and pay somebody $40 to sleep with you and possibly coerce them to coming back to America to struggle with your ass. Okay, so we got that. Then you got the other end of the spectrum where they may have the money, right? They may have the money, but they could be freaking psychos. And that's even worse. Now, this girl is over here in this new country. Where does she go? Where's her help? Where's her support system? Where's her network? You know, it's probably most likely desperation is bringing her over here. It's not because you're so hot and fine and, you know, appealing, you know? So that is what's been really on my mind more than anything is these young ladies that have no protection and are being exploited. And I guess these guys have to tell themselves that these girls really want them. I guess, you know, because, and the other thing is, I think that passport bros think it's really crazy. They really think that we have these discussions because we care that they're gone. I promise they will not be missed. Like if you left and didn't come back, you most likely wouldn't be missed. Because you're not.
Which doesn't make sense, Lily, because, you know, it doesn't make sense because they're literally saying we're leaving because you don't act right while we're here, right? We're leaving because y'all don't act right. So why would they think that those women that quote unquote are not acting right or worshiping them give a damn that they're leaving? What we hear over and over again, the issue that Black women specifically have is you guys have to bash us and pit us against those women. That's the Black women's issue. They keep overlooking that. They keep trying to say you guys are just jealous, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, have you looked in the mirror, sir? Have you looked in the mirror, sir, right? These guys, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong. We've had this discussion before. Hit that like for me because we got a lot of people in the room. If you're not going to support with a super chat, please hit the like for me because that helps mama out too. Okay, hit the like for me. Gracias. You know, these passport bros we discussed before. Obviously, whether you're lazy or not, you just want life, right? You want the good things that life has to offer. Some people want to do that with the least amount of friction, pause, or the least amount of rejection. I understand that. If you were starving and someone put an apple on a chair and there was another apple, but you had to climb a mountain for it, where are you going? Right. You're going for the apple on the chair. So I completely understand that these men just want to spend $40 on some ass versus I got to date this woman because she got high standards. And then I got to date her a couple times. Austin Holloman said this himself out of his own mouth. The video that got him ousted, he was literally talking to a woman on the beach and he was like, how long would it take for me to date you? How long would it take for me to kiss you? And because the woman said, yeah, it would happen pretty much immediately, he said, get your passport. That is what these men want. They want sex. They want the company of a woman that's attractive, right? But they want it with the least amount of pushback. So I completely understand. Now, here's the problem. They can't just go and get their low values dick sucked and shut the fuck up.
Right. That's it. Just shut up. We don't care.
The funny thing is that's the only issue. Like the passport bros think that they have a lot of issues and women are jealous and people are against them. No, honey. We all know what a trick is. We all know what a John is. We all know what a bottom bitch is. We all know what a pimp is. We all know what prostitution is. We're well versed in this country. There's even the bunny ranch out in Nevada where you can go in a home, look at a menu, and pick a prostitute. That's not the issue. The issue is, this is the only issue you have if you're listening, Passport Bro. The only issue you have is that you don't know how to fucking not make the block hot. That's your fucking problem. And the reason why you don't know how to shut your fucking low value trap is because you need content. Because you're a YouTuber and you need content. So what you decided to do was shit where you eat. Okay? That's the only problem you have, Passport.
That's
Bro.
it.
Take it from your big sister. The only problem you have is you don't know how to get your low value dick sucked and shut the fuck up.
Right.
That's
That's
it.
it. That's it. That's all.
That's really it.
I promise
Totally
we won't miss them. Nobody's going to miss them because no one's checking for them anyway.
Correct.
Okay. It's okay.
Jesus. Let's pass the mic to the gentleman. Let me read these super chats. Thank you for the super chat, Adam Hearn. He says, in addition, there's current political firestorms going on in Brazil with the recent election. Passport bros are seen as colonists by left and niggas by the right in Brazil, in my opinion. I think that is a fucking excellent factor in theory. Excellent.
You know what's really funny about the passport bro community? Americans are so vitriolic and just up in arms on the topic of immigration, on people coming onto our shores and taking advantage of our resources and taking advantage of our opportunities and taking advantage of this and blah blah blah. Brothers are just getting up and doing the same exact fucking thing that they accuse other people of doing. And now I guess you can understand now that the people that you're accusing of coming into this country illegally and doing all of these things, yeah, they're doing it because just like you saw another opportunity for yourself across the pond. You know what I mean? So you're really no better than they are. Yes, sir, colonists. Yeah, I mean, it's their country, so they can pretty much call you whatever the fuck they want to call you.
Right.
And
Go ahead, Tristan. Go ahead.
I said, and my thing is, right, I think black people forget how big of a voice we have in this country compared to the rest of the world. In America, at least they kind of have to listen to us because they have to deal with us. But in other countries, if you act a fool, they're gonna let you know that you black, and they're like this: your country ain't gonna do nothing about it, neither. I said these passport bros forget that one, they're black. Two, they is it Stockholm syndrome where you do something that your suppressor does? Is that what it is?
And when
No,
you fall in love with your
just-
oppressor.
you essentially fall in love with your oppressor.
So what happens when you copy the your tactics of your oppressor? What is that?
Oh, that's
called?
a nigga. Oh, that's a nigga.
Okay.
Who said the N-word? He's so hopeful.
Me.
I know you're not on YouTube trying to regulate language. Come on, bro. Come
Well,
on, bro. You've been on YouTube long enough.
But he has a point because of the YouTube guidelines that you've been blasting me about.
We already here, Tristan.
Okay, this is true, but still, it's now I lost my point, but still, it's you go to these countries not because you want to find quote unquote love. It's because you're like, hey, this white man has been suppressing me for so long and showing me I'm poor. I'm gonna do it to somebody else. You go over there to try to dominate these women with your finances. I say, instead of what the white man did with a rope and a tree, you're like, hey, I have $100. Yeah, and I think it goes far.
As I've said before, most people, regardless of race or gender, have no issue with oppression. They just don't want to be oppressed.
Ooh, wait a
Okay.
minute now. Wait a minute. Let's open it out. Let's everybody take a seat and grab a little plate and put some on the plate. We got to eat off that real quick. So basically, right, the power that those black men always complain about not having in this country, okay, They literally go to other countries and wield the same type of fucking power. So they're not mad about being oppressed. They're mad about not being able to oppress. So when they fly to these countries, they're in power because these women are impoverished. Now, a lot of these guys say they're not all poor. They're not all desperate and destitute. I guarantee you're not going to fly out there and get you a Brazilian doctor. You're not going to get you a Brazilian lawyer because they're going to have higher standards. And why would they take Mr. $40 Negro from America? Make it make sense.
And I'm thinking about how the country feels like. How sustainable do they think that is, that these black men are going to come taking their women away? Like, if people know about what populations represent a government, right? And, you know, about the mixing of the races and all that, like, that's not going to fly but too long. And, you know, and the thing is, you get caught up over there, Ninja, okay? You think America going to rush over to get you?
Look, you wanna really have a problem in the country? Look, listen, mess with the men's jobs or their women. You gonna have a real problem on your hands real quick. Every man, every population of men in any country, one of the many things that they basically guard are their women and their jobs, or their resources, or their money. You know, if you stand a threat against that, then you have a problem. And yes, to your point, Lily, they're gonna go out there and what you think? This is not gonna be a Brittany Renner situation.
No,
so you're gonna get tied up, bagged up, and that's gonna be the end of you. You know what I mean?
Do you think that it's pure? Do you think that it's pure ignorance? Like, because the majority of the black male population, they can't relate to protecting their women and providing for their women and things like that. Do you think that, you know, they fly out of the country and think, oh, well, you know, all men are this way? Maybe they're just conditioned to think like you can do whatever with women because that's what they do here. Maybe they go to other countries and think what other men aren't going to care about their female population because we don't care about our female population. We know that Black women are bashed relentlessly, not by white people, not by Latin people, not by Asian people, but Black women are bashed relentlessly in this country by Black men. So maybe they fly out and they're under the impression that no one cares about their women and they're getting caught up.
Well, I think that kind of, I see the point of that, but I also think that that's just across the board between Black men and Black women, because a couple of months ago, look how shocked we were collectively that the Jews weren't having it. You know what I mean? The Jews actually really do care about their brand. And yeah, there's people in the world who actually care about their brand and care about their people and care about how they're perceived. There's people out here who ain't with the dumb shit. Just because you want to be a part of a culture that is with the dumb shit and you don't want to police that culture, because if someone polices that culture, it's called white, supremacist talking points. Just because you're cool with that doesn't mean that everyone else is cool with that. And I have a female friend who flat out said she was in a discussion with a brother, and he says he doesn't want to be with any woman that makes as much or more money than him because he can't have financial control over them. And he said
before we pass the mic, holy fuck, Afro Universe, thank you for that generous super chat. God damn, I ain't got the special effects on my Mac, but I got a shimmy, baby.
Oh.
Fuck.
Hey,
that's what I'm talking about, damn it.
A me shimmy.
Your Afro, send 200.
All right,
right. You can get that. You can get that.
Thank you for supporting on the block with Jen. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, we keep it real and we keep it generous también, ¿viste?
You see, no. Now you see something? You see something here? You see, brothers, I want you to look at that for a quick second. Look how this woman behaved because this man gave a generous offering to her to her interests. Do you see how that works?
Do you see Exhibit A?
Do you see how that works? She got up, she showed the abs, she shimmied a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, you can't get that from a Starbucks date, man. You
No,
can't, man.
wait,
You
check this
can't.
out. Let me add something to it. This is gonna blow your mind. Haran, let me add to your point. If Afro Universe hit me up, he was like, "Yo, I'm in Nevada. You want to grab a cup of coffee? Let's go."
Right.
Because
Right.
this man just wait, yo, that's a good point.
That's how it works. Now, hopefully, people understand my complaints about the fucking coffee dates. Okay, that's how it fucking works. And I won't show up in a bonnet neither. Exhibit fucking A. He don't gotta go. He
You're
don't
not
gotta
gonna show up in a Jen,
She
you're not
better
gonna show
not
up in a
show up in
bonnet
a bonnet.
just
She
in
better not
case.
show up in a bonnet. I'm gonna talk to if she do it. You better not show up in a bonnet. I'm gonna talk to you if you do. Like, yo, you better dress up for that man.
Yeah, for Afro Universe, yeah.
Exactly. You better.
That's
You better
me
show
though.
out.
But Haran, that's me naturally. That's why I
Right.
complain about the coffee dates because I dresses up. You know what I'm saying? I know men like having a little cute thing on their arm when they're in public. You know what I mean?
Of course. Right. All this shit really ain't as hard as everybody's making it out to be, man.
It really ain't. It really ain't. It
Okay,
really.
my turn.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
Super chat break. Thank you for the super chat, Don LeBon. Don LeBon says, bottom line, you just can't go to other countries and disrespect their culture and their women. Bottom line. Yay or nay?
Absolutely, man. It's just a no-go.
Miss Polly, are you back for good? What's going on, Miss Polly?
My internet jacked up. Your Wi-Fi jacked up, boo boo.
These are
Did
great
we lose
questions.
Did we lose No Saint? I think we lost No Saint. And he was waiting.
It's always like this.
Where's No Saint?
Okay, so
I got booted.
There you go.
We gotta let No Saint talk because you know No Saint be trying to talk and we like playing spades in here. No Saint be like,
No, I mean I had a lot to say. Now, Jen, you were right on my thinking when you talked about one of the biggest problems is this isn't new, but it's now being broadcast and internet is not expensive around the world and YouTube is free. And so everybody's seeing it now and they're like you said, they're not keeping their mouths shut. I did watch his video. He was trying to make it out like all he was doing was showing that, you know, the Brazilian women are not playing around. They're not, if they want to go, how long will they kiss you? How long before they take you home? If they like you, they're not playing around. That's how he tried to portray it. But it's really funny to me. I sit there and I talk to the videos like they can hear me. He was like,
me too.
And he's sitting there and he's saying, you know, American women, they like the, you know, the bad, but not the bad boys, but like the almost like the criminals.
He said American women like the criminals.
Yeah, the criminals. He's like, and it's scientifically proven. I said, bullshit, it's scientifically proven.
He said it's scientifically proven.
Who was the scientist? Yeah. Dr. Fauci?
I'm like, you got to source up and tell me, you know, that's probably.
You got to send me those papers, please. Please send me that Harvard research.
That's probably funded by the Pass Bros organization or something. That scientific study. But I do want to cut into something Lily said. I pushed back a little bit. I push back in this sense. It's because I've gone through it. I've gone through marriage to someone who's not from the country, and they check your finances and they hold you to a pretty high standard when it comes to taking somebody from another country to this country. It's not like they're going to be able to, they just don't want to pay for it. Right. So they're going to check and make sure that you do have enough money to support someone that you're going to get married to. Now, and I also want to say that this has been going on a long time. So because the military, we have bases all over and people get married, and it's not necessarily that they're passport bros, but kind of what Jen said, you're in another country and these women are giving you more attention because of their situation in some cases. And they're seeing it because, like, let's say for Colombia, for instance, there are people, like you said, there are people that make decent living in Colombia, but they can't get out of the country. It's really hard to get out of the country. So what coming to America offers is a passport that gets you a lot of places. And so it's not everybody who does that is just doing it to exploit, but these guys that are sitting there talking about it, totally look like they're trying to exploit the situation. I have a guy here. I just found this out today. It's pretty funny. I knew he went. He's a passport bro and he doesn't even know it, right? But I knew that he went over to the Philippines. I think it was the Philippines and married a woman. But I found out some details today, believe it or not. And first of all, he had to give a goat and a vacation or something like that to the father. But he went over there, and the girl that he went over there to marry, to take, said no. And the girl's sister said, "I'll go," which I thought was insane when these guys here were telling me this. They were like, "Are you serious?" So he went over there to marry one girl. She was like, "No thanks." The sister was the dad was like, "What about her?" I thought that was just insane. But it is it's definitely exploitation. And some of these guys, like you said, are going over there because the women on the surface seem like they're they're just easier to manipulate, let's be honest. But they seem like it seems like they, like he's saying, look at these, they're not like the American women. The American women have, as Jen always says, has options, so they don't have to take as much. And some of these girls, it is cultural, and Jen knows this. In other countries, that it is cultural for them to quote unquote be that 1950s type of housewife, right? And some of them want to be mothers, and sometimes that lasts a long time, and sometimes that lasts a short amount of time once they get here and find out the deal, But no, absolutely, his biggest mistake for content is he was advertising it. I'm not exactly sure what they ran him out of town for, other than I didn't get that out of his video. I didn't understand, like, I went and looked over some of the content, and so is that the apology video as well, the one you're talking about, where he's talking about interviewing the girl and she's saying, yeah, how many times I'm going to kiss you, or how long it takes to kiss you? You're on mute. You're on mute.
There's two videos. The one with the white tank top is him. He was still living in Brazil. The one in the red t-shirt, he's already back in the U.S. with the apology. So the one in the white tank, that's when shit started getting hot. All right. Then it got real hot. He got his ass out of there. Then he apologized on U.S. soil. So when he said that it's a scientific fact that American women like criminals, right, that's when he was in the white tank. But he's way more humble when he's apologizing, on this side.
So I imagine his channel is done. I mean,
no, it's actually no. What happens is, and I keep telling people this, the whole canceling thing, because he has so many people that are following him here. Now he has more followers because the passport bros want to support the passport bros. The low value guys want to support the low value guys, right? It's a chain reaction. Like no high value man is running to go follow him. But now the low value guys are like, ooh, another leader. Because these guys are running rampant on YouTube looking for another leader, someone who's talking against Black women, basically, or American women. So he's going to get more followers. He's going to get more spins, and then it'll die down.
I'm saying is he doesn't have content unless he goes to another country. So he's going to have to find another country to go to, I assume.
Yeah.
And then brag about how great, and to brag about how great those women are. It's I don't know. For me, it's just immature. I mean, immature and trying to get clout. I mean, that's all I can say.
Right.
Because most of he doesn't tell you, like, the hoops you have to jump through if you're going there looking for a wife. Now, if you're just going there to exploit women, I mean, you can do that anywhere. I know in Honduras, like, I was never in Honduras, but I've heard the stories when I was in the military that the people that would come clean your room off base, for like, I don't know, $10-20, they'll clean you, and then they'll also, have sex with you and everything like that. I mean, for like $20. Now, HIV was rampant, but I know there are, so I know that if you just go in there for that, I mean, you can, like you said, you can just about go anywhere and find that. But if you're actually looking for a mate, looking for a woman, it's not as easy as what people are thinking. I mean, unless you're really rich, you got to be really rich, but I mean, as far as like just the average person, You can do it, but it's not like you're gonna, there's a price that can be paid for doing that. Is all I'm saying. Once you get back here.
But can someone answer this for me? Because I'm slightly confused about the hypocrisy here. So, from what I see and what I hear in this whole space, is that the women here, all the mean and loud and blah blah blah, but it's like they don't want family anymore. These women say they don't need a man no more. They say that they can raise their children by themselves. But like No Saint just said, and thank you for clearing that up for me too, No Saint. Like you just said, the majority of them, it looks like to me, are going over for a good $40 or less time, which means your money stretches further, which, like we said, we don't mind. We're pro sex work here. We're pro all of that, right? And of course, like you said, we just shut the hell up when you're doing it. But the thing is, it's the hypocrisy for me, because you're saying you're leaving because the women here don't want to get married, have your children, listen, smell your farts and all of that, only to go over there to just get a sex worker.
So here's the thing. So here's the thing with that, and I want to pass the mic to our guest. We have a new guest on the panel. Welcome, Rod.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to say this. It's all cap. It's all propaganda. It's all cap, like the kids say. It's all propaganda. If you notice, all these men, and if you're watching, we have a lot of people in the room. If you are a passport bro and you have a rebuttal, or you have your own version of what goes on overseas, feel free. I will throw the link down. It is now in the chat. Feel free to come up and tell us we're wrong and tell us why we're wrong. So it's all propaganda. These men all parrot the same thing. The majority of them are just going out there for a quick fix of ass that's nice to them. That's really it. And I don't understand why it's so hard for them to admit that that's all it is. I want to go to a beautiful island, talk to a beautiful girl, and have a good time with her for $25, $30, and what have you. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not anti-sex work, but the problem is what gets mixed in is girls that are underage, girls that are destitute, girls that are desperate, girls that are prostituting their bodies to take care of an entire family, and you are exploiting them. You're using them for content. None of you have permits to shoot. None of you have appearance releases for your content, and you're monetizing. You are monetizing, right? The exploitation of these women, because like I said, you don't get your low value dick sucked and shut the fuck up. Like every other John and every other trick that's ever existed. It used to be embarrassing to be a trick. It used to be embarrassing to be a John. Don't ruin my family. I don't want my wife to know. I don't want my kids to know. These dudes are loud and proud to be tricks and Johns, and that's weird to me. So let me pass the mic to Rod. Donovan, thank you for the super chat. Donovan says, facts. You can't take that American disrespect shit overseas. Welcome,
All right.
Rod.
Thank you. Can you hear me and see me?
Hear you and see you just fine.
Perfect. I'm currently in Mexico City, Mexico, and I travel for work.
Love it.
But you know this term, passport bro, it's a term that was created over the last 5 years, but you have to really dig deeper because you got people that fall into different categories. I'll give you an example. Austin has only been in Brazil for 3 to 4 months, doesn't understand the culture on the ground. He made a simple mistake that any person that's a seasoned traveler like myself would not make, right? So I'll give you an example. I travel for work. Do I fall in the category of a passport bro? I don't travel for sex. I'm in Mexico City. I'm traveling to another city tomorrow for a conference. And so the truth is this, I'm going to be very honest with you guys, because I'm mixed, right? My mother's from Central America. My dad's Mediterranean. I can tell you this. I can see both sides of the.
Uh-oh.
Hey, you about to get good.
Oh man, he was about
Mexico
to.
City internet. I can vouch.
I just want to say one quick thing. The age of consent in Brazil is 14.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not.
I also want to highlight Tribe of Judah. He basically said He said not just black men, white men have been traveling for sex for decades before black men.
Another tribe of
What
Judah.
what he basically said. I mean, I knew somebody was going to say this. What he basically said supports what I just said about oppression, and what that is. And tribe of Judah also, if you do the work for a quick second, we also know that there were also black slave masters in America.
He's back.
Lots and lots.
So, yeah, you're right. Just as long as the white man did it, it's okay.
Rob, you were saying?
Okay, yeah. So can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. The internet just checked out. Mexico it's kind of weird.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, yeah. Sometimes it's strong, other times it's weak. I have my Verizon network and it connects through a Mexican network. Anyway, what I was saying is there's different categories. I'll give you an example. Over the last 40 plus years, you had a lot of military. We got like over 600 military bases on the planet, American bases. So you have a lot of soldiers overseas, and a lot of them are marrying foreign women for the reasons that most passport bros discussed. But here's the problem. These guys overseas, I'm going to tell you the truth, soldiers, they're in good shape. They're good looking. They're foreign. So you have foreign women throwing themselves. I'm not going to generalize, but I see it all the time. Foreign women, they love American men. Doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. If you're from the United States, you're in great shape, you're good looking. They're going to gravitate towards you because we've been exporting Americanism all over the planet. It's hard for you guys to grasp. Some of you guys might be defensive on that, but I was a soldier, so I can tell you from my experience. Been to 35 countries, seen it firsthand. There's no reason for you to pay for it if you're not an attractive guy, you're not in good shape. And I get it. And that's a whole, and whatever, no personality, charm, so on and so forth. Yes, high probability you'll pay for it. But, I think this definition of passport, bro, it's not literally defined because you have these inexperienced amateur travelers defining it for people that have been traveling like myself to 35 countries for work. And I've dated women from every single country you can imagine. And I'm not paying for sex, nothing like that. And I don't want to put it out there like that because I'm, come from I'm a pretty private guy. But my point I'm getting at is he made a simple mistake. He's only been traveling. He's been in Brazil for 4 months. He's still trying to figure out the language, doesn't understand the culture. And he pulled a routine that you pull in the US. You can't do what you do in the US in somebody else's country.
Oh, dang it. You know what though? It was something he just said. I want him to be on though.
I want him to be on too because I got rebuts. I got more rebuts.
I mean, listen, I will say this. I mean, he's making a point as in the people in the military I don't think they're passport bros.
Sorry about that.
No.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to say, I was in the military and I've traveled a lot. And I was just kind of supporting your point that the people in the military aren't the same people that we're talking about. Like this guy that went to Brazil. And you're right. There are women that are interested in military guys, and maybe they have an alternative. Maybe their thing is they want to, maybe they like the guys, maybe they think they're exotic looking, maybe they want to go to America, I mean, that's true too. Both,
I'll say this. I don't know why. It's kind of like the same thing we hear about the manosphere. Have you heard the term manosphere, Rod?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing where I have guys come up and say, well, we're not like the manosphere. We're the nice guys. We hear that in the police department too. We're the good guys, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Passport bros was a phrase coined specifically by those men that do what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Which to me is apples and oranges from the military.
Yeah.
Understand that the military, first of all, these guys are in uniform. They look good. They speak English. I can see how a woman anywhere, forget other countries, women in this country want a military man. It's a very attractive occupation. So we're not talking about military men at all. We're not talking about military men that go overseas and fall in love with a foreign woman and get with her. These men are literally doing streams 4 or 5 hours, waving their passports, telling other men, get your passport, because these women don't talk back. These women will rub your feet. We had a gentleman up here, big truck. They keep my balls empty.
Yeah, that's right. He was a passport bro.
He was a passport bro, okay? They keep my balls empty in the Philippines. They will do anything for me. This woman kept coming in the room and making sure my balls were empty, right? And we accepted what he said. That is what he does. Now, of course, I told him he was disgusting and it was gross and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day,
you're gonna die alone.
Right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's his choice, right? But I don't think that the military even has, like, I didn't even know why anyone in the military would be talking about the passport bros. But I do want to ask Rod, what was the mistake? What was the quote unquote mistake that Austin Holloman did?
Man, I don't want to offend people here because we live in a time where everyone's sensitive, right? Can I tell you something?
You've never watched my show before?
You're on the block.
You can offend
Hey, listen,
anyone.
This is
this
New
is gonna
York.
hurt some people. Listen, I've got
What you got to say?
sound like a white guy. I've got black friends. You want to know what it is?
Don't sound like me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, when people say that, they normally don't, right? So, you know why I say that? Because there's an aspect of black culture in the United States where they think they can say and do what they want based on the past, which I get. But you want to know something?
What do you mean? Elaborate on that. They think they can say and do what they want because of the past.
What I mean by that is, like, there's an aspect of black culture, and nobody talks about this, right? Where, I know what the struggle. I know what I've read. I know what I understood. I'm not a black man, but I have a brain, right? So it was a difficult, and I'm very grateful for what black folks have done for every American, including people like myself. I'm very grateful. And I say this all the time, but you can't take that mentality where you can say and do what you want in the US at will, where, and take it overseas. I lived in Colombia. Colombia is a very dangerous country.
I've been there.
I've lived there for 6 years. I've seen where a black guy thought he was going to say something and he said it to the wrong person that was very, very connected. And I had to tell, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, listen, I told this guy in Spanish, I said, listen, this guy doesn't know what the hell Colombia is. You got to give him a pass. Like, it's, you can't assume he doesn't know what's going on. So you can't hold it against him. So just leave him alone. That's what I told a Colombian guy, because he was offended by what this guy did. What he did was he put his hands on another Colombian person. And the guy that's seen it is very, like, influential. And when he put his hands on him, I had to tell the black American guy, hey, man, you got to slow down. You're in somebody else's country. And I told the Colombian guy, you got to give him a pass because he's very connected. So you got to give him a pass. He doesn't know what he's doing. He just, something happened. So he might have said something wrong to the guy. He thinks he can put his hands on him. My point I'm getting at is what's happening with these passport bros is they're taking this mentality in the United States overseas, thinking they can say and do whatever they want. You can't. You're in somebody else's country. You try that shit in the Middle East, you're hurt. As much as you think these guys, like, they can't do any damage, they're crazy. They don't play games in these countries. Colombia, they don't play games. Mexico, I'm in Mexico. Mexicans don't play games. They're nice people, but don't ever mistake kindness for weakness. This is what people do. This is this American mentality where you think because a person's kind, they're weak. Yeah. And they take that overseas and they're like, look at these weak men. Take 2 or 3 of these guys together. They're like a pack of wild dogs, these 2 or 3 weak guys you're talking about. My point I'm getting at is what you do in the US, you can't do in somebody else's country. Even though you think these people are nice, they might be passive. There's a lot you don't see behind the scenes. That's why when these Brazilians, they're very kind people, they're very respectful. But as soon as you cross that line, it's game over. And that's what Austin did. He crossed the line disrespecting their women.
Well, let me ask you a question, Rod, because I want you to elaborate a little bit, right? And don't worry about offending people here. The brand on the block is literally everybody says what they feel, and everybody has to walk it off. And if you can't handle it, you got to go find another one of the 50 million YouTube channels where you feel comfortable. So just feel comfortable saying whatever, okay? Just as long as I don't get flagged. So I wanted you to elaborate when you spoke about a demographic of Black people that feel they can say whatever they want because of the past. I'm sure you're talking about, because I want to be specific, you're talking about oppression and slavery and what have you, right?
What I'm talking about is like literally, just history in general. What's happened to the U.S. with the civil rights movement until today, the school to prison pipeline,
Oh,
Hey. All right.
the white man cut him off. See that? The man.
Come on.
You wanted to say something while we wait for Rod.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was the comparison that he was making is a little off. It's not what we were really discussing, because from what I see, right, it's gotten to the point now when the ones who speak the loudest, the ones who spew the most hate, are usually bottom feeders. They're usually the ones who have a hard time. So yes, we know that there's people with money and looks and well-built that are going over there as well, but they don't say anything. They go over there, they handle their business, and they come home. It's the ones who are just resentful. That's what it is. The ones who are resentful against American women because they haven't ever been able to touch the woman that they would want to have. So then they go over there and they get to touch something that they've never been able to have, and they're like, see, look, I don't need you, F you, da 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 da. So those are the ones that we're really talking about, because that's our only issue. We don't care about passport bros in general.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you make decisions based on trauma. This is what happens. You do dumb shit. You do dumb shit, like go to other parts of the world, assuming that you can behave in whatever manner that you wish to behave, and they tell you, don't you ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. And that is one of the things that Americans can't really get into their skulls. They think that because in America, they're just so conditioned to say whatever they want to say, be whomever they want to be, without a degree of consequence. Americans are very spoiled.
Yes.
The other areas of the world, they are very strict. They're very strict. They're hardcore with their laws, hardcore with their population. And Americans, they just really don't understand with the amount of gripes that people have in this country. Some of these gripes are actually, you know what I mean, they have some weight to it. But a lot of these gripes, it's like, knock it off. Just knock it off. You know, and this is the problem when you just allow a society to do whatever the hell they fucking want. They take that kind of mentality to other areas of the world.
So I want to say something to what's his name? The guy in Mexico City. Rod. Okay. Yeah. To his point, when I was in Portugal, I was living in Portugal for 2 years, and they let us know, like, first of all, the Azores is a small island and everybody's related to everybody, right? We had a guy that went into one of the clubs, and they're not looking for trouble. I mean, the Portuguese love the fact that there's an American base giving people jobs and money. The problem is you get young in this situation, and this guy, this passport bro, seems like he's young and immature. You get young and mature people going. This one guy, or maybe it was two, but one guy, they were in a club, got into a fight and lost a ball. He got beat down and lost one of his nuts. Because, like you said, you go and you show your ass in these other countries, you already got a reputation. You know, Americans have a reputation. So, and a lot of it is because we have young military people that are immature. when I go to other countries, I was in Mexico City in October. I've been to Colombia 3 times. My wife's from Colombia. So when I go to other countries, I try to avoid Americans. I really do, because I don't want to be associated if they do something stupid. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't have anything to do with them. You know,
I think to add on to that, you don't know what the Americans are there in that country for, right?
That's true, yeah.
So you don't know what they're there for. So I just wanted to touch on something. So Colombian culture, they're really nice people overall. I think most of Latin America, including in Mexico.
Very
But
nice.
there's you have to, it goes back to that phrase, when in Rome, do as the Romans, right?
Absolutely.
And so what you don't, when in Colombia, do as a Colombia, is not when in Colombia. And I see this all the time. And I don't want to start gravitating towards a certain ethnicity, because I'm going to head back to the US. I don't want any problems when I head back. But it's either black and white, and don't take it personal, but it's both ethnicities that don't really acclimate to other people's culture. This is a problem. It's hard for you guys to grasp, but you guys are not, Latinos, it's easier for them, because automatically if they're in Latin America, they could say, hey, I'm Latin American. Doesn't matter if they're black, white, Latin American. At the end of the day, they still identify as Hispanic or Latino, right?
Yes, sir.
Most blacks and whites in America, when in Rome, they'll go to the Middle East and act like they own the Middle East, for example. I see it all the time. It's that arrogance, and it's a problem. It's a major problem. And until you actually humble yourself and realize, you know what, maybe he's right. Maybe it is a problem. When I go into somebody else's country, I can't act like I own the damn country.
Okay,
It's hard for you guys to take in. I know it's hard. And I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're
not, because
wrong.
That's why I don't travel with many people, for that reason. Like, I see how they act on U.S. soil,
right,
or how they act at a restaurant in town, and I'm like, I would never go out of town with this person. Like, I really only travel with 2 people. It's outside of my family. My family takes family trips every year, whatever, but it's 2 people that I really travel with, because they know how to survey the scene, right, and see what's going on, and then kind of, like you said, do as the Romans do.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you. And somebody is, I knew somebody was only going to hear you say black. You said black and white Americans.
100%. I know it's hard for you guys to grasp.
No, it's the chat.
It is.
Not me.
It's hard. Can I tell you something? Don't take this the wrong way. You're not cultured people. You don't speak multiple languages. Do you understand? I speak 3 languages. I come from multiple cultures. So I can go to Asia and acclimate with Asians, even though I may not be crazy about Asian culture, but I know I'm in their country.
But I'm gonna pause you on that, because you got 3
Hold on a second, Tristan. Please check your text or your DM, Tristan.
Because you got 3 people here from New York, and if you've ever been to New York, they are well cultured and a multicultural place. And I'm from New Orleans, and I've been all over the world. I don't speak more than 1 language, but New Orleans is kind of different too.
Well, and
it's not the Midwest.
Can I elaborate on that? Because really, when I say cultured, I mean, like, if you sit down with someone from another country, you actually understand their culture. I'm not talking about an Americanized Latino.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with being Latino or being white or being black.
It does, 100%. Now explain why. Okay. I know it's hard for you to take in.
It's not really. No, it's not. I've been all over the world too.
Well, let me explain why. Look, I've come across Colombian Americans, and I've had conversations with them about Colombia. You know what they told me about Colombia? Nothing. Does that mean they're Colombian? They speak the language. Their parents come from Colombia. I told them I would have conversations. Hey, have you ever been to Medellin? You ever been to Cartagena? You ever been to Cali? Oh, no, my parents are from there. We're never going back. Okay, great. Oh, you speak Spanish. Okay, great. What else can you tell me? Oh, I know a little bit about the meals. I know about they know more than the average person, but they're really not Colombian. You know what Colombians call them? Gringos.
Right. Okay.
Do you understand? Like, in order to be cultured, you have to really spend time in other countries. This is my opinion of it, right? It's just an opinion.
No, he's right.
Take it or leave it.
Right.
Even though you may hang out with someone in the U.S., and chances are they're Americanized. You're not hanging out with a
Okay,
like
well, I don't know if you're referring to my wife, who's from Colombia, grew up in Colombia, and we've been to Cartagena. I've lived in Portugal. I've lived in other places as well. So I'm not saying you're not attacking me. I understand what you're saying. I guess you're saying the majority of people who don't get out, but I just think, you know, you don't have to speak. My
Okay.
uncle, hey, let me tell you, my uncle lived in Thailand for most of his life. He spoke 7 languages. He's from Louisiana, though. Does that make him more cultured than you?
It's not about more or less. You're either cultured or you're not, right?
Okay.
There is no more or less.
It's
I'm
like,
more cultured
listen,
because he
it's like
speaks 3
saying-
languages.
it's
I
like
speak
when-
4.
It's like when people say that like they say, oh, you know, we're not like America's not cultured like Europe. No, it's when you're in America, it's like, or like white people are like the white culture is not a culture. No, you're just engulfed by the culture, so it doesn't look special. People from the outside might look at it and see it differently. It's like, you know, American food's hamburgers. All right, well, what about Cajun food? What about Creole food? What
You ever
about
heard the actual
what about
statement?
Tex-Mex food?
You ever heard this statement? What do you call a person who only speaks 1 language?
Yes, I heard the joke.
An American, right?
Yes.
So,
but all right, I'm gonna push back on that. What about the people? What about Miami? What about people in Louisiana that speak French? What about people in New York that have several different? I mean, it just
And
to
I
me,
grew,
it just
and like I
sounds
said, I grew up
ridiculous.
on Capitol Hill, and there was so many different ethnicities and cultures there that it's places that most people still don't even know are on the map. So there's a lot of culture.
I know it's going to be rough for you guys to take this.
You
know how I know?
It's not right.
Let me tell you how I know Americans are not cultured. They're not so tolerant when they come across people from other countries. That's how I know they're not cultured.
You're not talking about me again. So, I mean,
it's hard for you to take in, right? If you go to Colombia, Colombians are tolerant. Colombians are tolerant people. Latinos are tolerant.
Yeah.
These Arabs are even more tolerant than Americans. As soon as they see an American, whether you're white or black, they roll out the red carpet to you guys. Why?
Money.
They're very tolerant.
That's why.
Listen, Americans are tolerant because they have people coming to America studying. To some degree, I mean, you're not breaking the laws to hurt these people because they're in America of a different ethnicity, different culture. But overall, if you had to sit here and really dissect it further, culture, I mean, tolerance has a lot to do with it. I've been to Colombia. I've been all over Latin America. They're very tolerant to outsiders. I've been to the Middle East. They're very tolerant to outsiders. I've been to Asia, very tolerant. You come to the United States, you speak another language. Most people don't say, hey, welcome to our country. First thing they tell you is speak English.
I think you're exaggerating.
Yeah, okay, all right, I am. Whatever.
I think that
it's not how whatever, man. You keep saying it's hard for me to take in. It's not hard for me.
Because you're married to a Colombian woman, all of a sudden overnight
you're talking about some, you know, stereotype person. That's fine. You're not talking about me. I'm very welcoming. I did Uber. When I was doing Uber,
an Asian woman tomorrow. And if I didn't speak another language and wasn't raised with multiple cultures, you're not cultured.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Have is just American culture.
That's your opinion.
No, it is. It's a fact. You ask any other person.
Sure. What's your fact?
You know what they call people like you? They call you a gringo. You know what a gringo is?
Yes, I do.
You know what a gringo is? And they do this, you know,
they
from time to time they call me a gringo and I have to correct them. They call you a gringo.
You're self-hating.
When they call you a gringo, they don't do it out of respect.
You can hate where you're from.
It's not out of respect.
Free country. You hate where you're from, man.
Well, no, I'm telling you, it's not about. I'm just telling you the truth. You can't be with it.
No, yes, your truth.
You don't call you a gringo to identify the region you're from.
It's your truth. It's your truth, not my truth.
Okay, all right.
And it's not a fact unless you have something to back it up.
Rod, do you think that being that No Saint is married to a Colombian, right?
Yeah.
A Colombian woman, do you think that makes him more cultured by association?
It makes him a little bit more tolerant than the average American, but it doesn't make him cultured. That's it.
Okay.
No, because my place in the country that I live is cultured. It's southern Louisiana. It's very cultured. I'm cultured on my own.
Yeah.
How much do you know about Southern Louisiana and the history and the Cajuns?
I lived in Bossier City for like 5 years.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert on Southern Louisiana, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you about that. But
My
listen, I
my
mean,
grandmother and grandfather spoke Cajun French. That was their first language.
right.
Second language was English. They didn't pass it on. I mean, that's
Nice.
a lot of times that's what happens is they don't want their children to, they get forced to speak the
Well,
English.
I think it's like they say statistically, on average, it takes 3 generations before you lose your identity.
Yeah.
So if your grandparents were Italian or Puerto Rican or Latino or anything else, unless you reinforce culture and language on your kids, 3 generations. Look at Italian Americans; they don't speak Italian. You look at the Irish Americans; they don't speak. What was it? Gaelic? That's gone. Any Germans, they don't speak German. Like, is that important? Well, I don't know. Depends on what you think is important or not. I was first generation American. I speak 3 languages. Now, but if I have kids, I'm going to reinforce it on my kids. I'm not going to allow Chad or Tyrone or anybody else try to teach my kids culture. Do you know what I mean? Just because.
So let me ask you something. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm not trying to take over here.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead, brother.
Let me ask you something. We have people here in the United States that speak Pennsylvania Dutch. Are they cultured?
Pennsylvania. Yeah. If they speak another language.
So language is what you say culture.
Well, let me
right?
finish. Let me finish. And they have a culture that they adopt, and it's practiced on a consistent basis, and they live into it. Yes. If you have Jewish people that speak Yiddish and they have their own communities in New York, they're very cultured. They still have. Am I wrong or am I right? They keep among themselves. They have their language. Keep among them, and they have their customs and practices. Is that cultured? Yes or no?
Okay. You're saying that if they stay in their own community, they have their own community, their own.
I'm saying they have their customs and practices and language.
Well, but see, that's where I think you're. That's where I think you don't take. In other words, you don't take like say that the New York is having its own culture. You think New York's just an American thing, right? It's not cultured. But everybody else outside looks at what comes out of New York and tries to copy that culture because it's a separate culture from what they have in their country.
It's okay. It's still
some
American.
things you might think are boring. Okay, I can get that. Yeah, Nebraska's boring, but it is a culture.
No, I know where you're going with it. When I say it's a culture, but are they culture?
Wait a minute. That's not disrespect Nebraska, folks.
Sorry.
Keep it clean.
Right.
Keep it clean.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Show some respect.
It's the only state I haven't been to almost, except for like Hawaii, I think.
So let's take really quickly. Let's take a super chat break. Thank you, Fahim Jackson, for the super chat. Fahim Jackson says, I live here in New York City. People will say I'm from certain cultures, but they'll visit their mother country and become quickly shunned. Their behavior is foreign to their own group. That's U.S. influence. I do want to say, I understand Rod made a blanket statement, but I don't disagree with him. I understand exactly what he's saying, and I understand exactly what he's saying about being cultured versus not cultured. I think it does also go beyond language. For instance, I'm Puerto Rican. I could go to Colombia, Panama, Mexico. I can go to Spain. I can go to any Spanish-speaking country and already be able to blend with the people. Plus, we have, Puerto Ricans, we have a thick culture. We have our own music and our own food. So we can relate to other people really quickly, and we speak the language and what have you. So I understand that, but I also do understand like Americans are arrogant and a lot of them aren't cultured. I do understand that. And they think like their way is the only way. So it's, it's two sides to the coin. I do understand what he's saying. There's a lot of arrogance when people go to other countries. They automatically think if the people in that country don't speak English, they're dumb. You see that a lot. Yep. If you don't speak English, you must be dumb, right? So, we see that a lot.
Entitled. We got some entitlement for sure.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, we do that here. We do that at the Walmart. Speak English. You're in America. So imagine when they go, overseas. I do want to welcome, what's up, Andre from Love Crossing Borders.
Hey, you.
You flew overseas and married a Colombian too, right?
See?
All right, then. So I'm sure you have an opinion on this, on the Austin Holloman. I did want to, I have a little pushback for Rod because he did say that Austin Holloman made a mistake. I think it was arrogant. I don't think it was a mistake. I think he knew what he was doing. I think he knew he was getting paid for the views, and I think he knew he was getting paid for the content. He just got pushback. And now he don't want to do it no more. Now he's sorry. But I don't think it was like an innocent mistake. Like, he was very arrogant on the videos. He followed women around. After the woman said she would go home with him, he leaned into the camera and said, "Get your passport." So in a way, that is kind of him, you know what I mean, promoting easy sex and easy companionship. Rod?
Yeah, no, I think what he did was a mistake. And again, when I lived in Colombia my first year, I made a lot of mistakes. Okay. And I knew a little bit more than the average person. I think it was a mistake on his part. And again, he was only there for 4 months. Keep in mind, when guys talk to other men, when we talk to other men, it's man talk. Do you know what I mean? It's like he wasn't trying to sexualize the women. I mean, it may appear that way, but what he was trying to say is, look, man, you want to be a ladies' man. That's really what he wasn't saying. Come over here. Like, you got to dig deeper into it. Because I watched the video, and I've listened to him before. I'm not going to side with him just because he's a passport bro. But I know from living in Colombia for 6 years, living in China for a year, living in these other places, you can easily make a mistake when you're freshly on the ground in another country. And that's a mistake he made. He was talking to other guys, might have been trying to impress them. I don't think he was literally saying, "Come on down for sex." You know what I'm saying? He was saying, "Come on down, you can find a girlfriend." It's man talk. And again, I don't want to come to his aid and defense, but it's man talk. Like, he's like, "Look, guys, you know, why settle for, I hate to use numbers because I don't like to rate women in numbers. But he's like, why settle for a woman that's a 3 or 4 in the US when you can get a 6 or 7? And she may be more feminine than she's going to give you less pushback, less headache, so on and so forth." So I don't think he was literally sexualizing it and say, "Come on down, guys." He was talking to other men, and that's men sometimes they say things openly, but it wasn't literally for the wrong. Like, I don't think it was like, "Hey, come on down for sex." I think it could have been a simple mistake. He was just he's excited. He's passionate about when you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to make mistakes.
Okay. Well, you are definitely entitled to your opinion. Definitely entitled to your opinion. But it's also a good sign. I hear this guy is in his 20s. Austin Holloman is in his early 20s. But I think it's also a sign of, it's a great exhibit A for, there are a lot of young men watching these older cats who are in their 40s and in their 50s. And they all have these very popular channels about being a quote unquote passport bro. And what these young guys are going to do is follow the elders, and, oh, well, the such and such went out there and he got himself a wife, or easy sex. I saw a man that looked to be about, no lie, pushing 70 years old. Maybe some of you have seen him. An unsightly 70-something-year-old black man waving his passport at his webcam saying, "Come down here. Black women are X, Y, and Z. So come down here and wave." This is an old man, an old unsightly man. So when you have a 20-something-year-old, an impressionable 20-something-year-old man watching these men, these elders carry on like this online, they're going to go out to those countries and they're going to get in trouble. That is what's going to happen, which is why it is dangerous. The manosphere, a lot of the manosphere is dangerous. These passport bros are similarly dangerous because they're going into foreign countries and the men aren't as lax as Americans are about the women in their demographics. The men aren't as lax. I love what Don Levon said earlier. These people may not be wealthy, but they're very prideful. And that is a fact. They have a lot of pride about their flag and their country. So you have to be very, very careful. Where Americans are usually spoiled about the country. They talk about the country. They burn the flag. They say, you know what I mean? They talk about the presidents and the mayors, like, you know, with abandon. Countries not so much. With that said, I'd like to pass the mic to Andre. Welcome, Andre. What say you? The Passport Bros, it's hot. It's hot right
Hey,
now. Listen.
I was actually I just so happened to be on the phone with Austin prior to and
Friend of yours. He's a friend of yours?
everything. Actually, here's the scenario with Austin and piggybacking off of what you said in regards to the arrogance and what the other brother said was the mistake. And this is one of the things that I spoke to Austin about is his mistake was his arrogance. And I was the one that told him, I say, be a man about it, put out an apology in Portuguese, put out an apology in English. I say, this is going to die down. I say, but this is going to be a lesson that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life. Not in a bad way, but in a way of how to carry yourself. Because if you guys ever watch what I do, I try to represent us as Americans in a positive light. In everything that I do, you never see me put out, oh, look at these ladies. You never see me go into locations or promote things. So there's a bunch of us out here, whether it be black or white, that we actually are trying to promote in a positive way. And so behind the scenes, we may talk to these young guys, but there's a mistake with the other gentleman was just saying, young guys being young, they don't want to speak to the mature individuals that are like, we're in stable relationships. We have businesses in these locations. We volunteer in the communities. We, no matter where we travel to, we always try to shed a proper light. And some of these young guys like, okay, older dude, I hear what you're saying. And they do what they want to do. But the one thing that we do realize as older dudes that we were young at one point in time too, and many of us are not trying to shun them. I was on the phone with him when the video on Twitter was going viral. He and I were talking, and then when all the mess hit fan, we were on the phone. I really was trying to encourage him to listen, Austin. It might not be as bad, and then it just got as bad. But at the end of the day, I try not to shun some of the young brothers because I remember what it's like to be 23, and I can't cast stones at a 23-year-old. But you're absolutely correct in regards to how many of us are saying, brother, you can't move with an air of arrogance, like you were saying, Jen, in other locations. You have to respect other countries. One of the first things that my wife's father was looking for in me was this. Not that I was respectful, not that I was a good man or not. One of the first signs he was looking for is this another arrogant American? Because our reputation of arrogance and entitlement precedes us, whether we realize it or not. And one of the things that gave him peace about me was he doesn't carry himself in that arrogant American way. Even though I live in Colombia, where I'm from is Tampa, Florida, and my community in Tampa, anybody that's lived off of Hillsborough in Armenia, right by the football stadium, knows that's completely Colombian community. So I'm used to being around Colombians, and they were the ones that really convinced me that, hey, there are some good women in our country. There are very educated people. It's a beautiful landscape. You'll love the country and the beauty of Colombia. The foods. Colombia is one of the, like here in Cali, we have just if you want to see nature, we have over 1,000 birds in one city. Yeah. We often say this about Colombia. If you eat one piece of fruit in Colombia every day, a different piece of fruit, it will take you a year and a half to eat all the fruit here in Colombia. We go to the coffee regions. We go to some of the most beautiful locations. If you've ever wanted to see a country that's the size of Texas and California combined and enjoy yourself, because it's 5 states and it's broken down in each state, each language, each food is completely different from the other side. That's Colombia. And so we try our best on our end. And what I'm saying is that myself, gentlemen like these gentlemen on this panel, we try not to promote and put out the controversies. Sometimes we know that the young guys talk too much. We know, Jen, some of the older guys talk too much. We know that they're putting negative lights out there no matter what stage and age of life that they're in. So many of us are out here trying to counteract that. Like I always say to the groups, there is 2 sides of a coin and there are 2 sides to a bridge. When you guys are ready to mature, us mature brothers will be on this side of the bridge, but we can't be on that side with everybody. I like what one, I forgot who said it earlier. One of the ladies said, I don't mess with Americans unless I really know you.
That was me. I'm not a lady. Okay.
If I hear English and it's clear, I turn around. I tell people all the time, they'll ask me all the time about Cali. My motto, everybody knows my motto: don't come here. I don't promote the city. I don't tell any. It's one of the most beautiful, wonderful. It's the one area of Colombia that they still really focus on relationships and marriages and boyfriends and girlfriends. You see people walking, holding hands, and I don't need the boys coming down here and trying to throw money in the air and act childish and do some of that idiocy. So I don't promote it. I kid you not. I'm just like some of you ladies that are in the platform. I can't travel with me and my wife and maybe one or two other people. But as far as really hanging out with Americans, I can't trust everybody.
Let me ask you a question, Andre. So do you promote Black men going to Colombia to find a wife?
No. I actually, with Love Crossing Borders, we actually promote men going around the world to look for the love of their life if that's what they're looking for. We don't promote the wife part because not everybody's looking to get married. That's why our brand is Love Crossing Borders. We help you understand what it's like to find love across borders or fall in love with the borders that you cross. And that's what we say. Some people just fall in love with the country, the location. It's not necessarily about a woman. I just did a video called The Top 10 Reasons Why I Moved to Colombia. Women didn't make the list. I have a list of reasons. I have a slew of reasons why I relocated to another country. And many gentlemen, like these gentlemen, relocate to other countries, and you ladies are not on the list. But the Passport Bro movement, because they didn't dictate the direction they wanted their moniker to go. They let people assume that it was about ladies. And I'm like, okay, since y'all want to do it like that, cool. But as for me and other guys that I know, it was not necessarily ladies the reason why we relocated to these other countries. And that's why
let me push back a little bit. You have truckloads of content with your wife. You stress she's in Colombia. You stress you went to Colombia and found a wife. Your content is not strictly come out here because there's a lot of fruit.
No. Mind you, Jen, I agree with you. Hear me out. I agree with you on that part. But
okay, wait. My second question. If you could just retain the question. My second question is your demographic mostly Black men? And if so, why do you think that there's an emphasis on Black men leaving America? Why is the target audience Black men? Why is the target audience not Latino? Why is the target audience not white men? Are white men, Asian, and Latin men more successful in their country than Black men are in their country?
I'm not, in regards to the success parts, we're gonna come back to the first question. But in regards to that question, most of the people that I deal with are from every walks of life. I do consultations with Asians that want to come down here. I talk to multimillionaires that are Black, that are white, that want to come down these locations. We just had, for example, you watched the news article. What was the football coach that just recently quit his job and took a one-way ticket to Thailand? These are men that you have to realize, not everybody, and it's not all about you ladies all the time. And I think the Passport Bros have not spoken that narrative enough. Even though I talk about my wife and I'm sitting next to my wife, many of our topics are about cost of living. We just gave away, for example, we just did another video where we gave over $1,500 2 weeks ago to the Children's Cancer Foundation here in Cali, Colombia. We do videos on that. We do videos on property and how to do business online. So it's not about just ladies, or about Andre and Andre. It's not about me and my wife. Many videos have occurred in regards to that. Absolutely correct. But we promote more of the narrative of, look at this beautiful country, South America. Once you get here, you get your citizenship. You're able to travel to all these other countries in the continent without even using your passport. All these other benefits that we try to promote because, and I want you guys to realize this, because we know that the other side of the bridge exists, where everybody just showing a party, where everybody's trying to pay for play. Everybody's trying to, look, we got the ladies. There are so many people on that side of the bridge that when the dust settles, what we're hoping that men are going to, and even women, because we even work with women too, will mature and walk to the other side of the bridge of maturity when it comes to travel and how we behave as people, especially as Americans, because no matter what happens, we don't want to be perceived as wrong. Now, when you spoke about our men in regards to why isn't just showcased when it comes to white men or Asian men or Latin men. I'm gonna give you the secret. Black men talk too dang much. That's the problem. That's the white dudes doing the exact same thing. Throw away the key. Asian dudes, same thing. Throw away the key. Latin brothers, throw away the key. Brothers is platted all over social media. Look at this. We don't like the ladies in the United States because of this. All that behavior is not healthy. A, in regards to your relationships with your sisters back home in the States. B, it makes you look idiotic and thirsty when you're sitting back and you know that you purchased, or you know that you found yourself your little girlfriend in Ecuador, and you're bragging about it in a way like you've never had a girlfriend before, where you see the other cultures may not be doing it that way. That's the difference. That's the narrative. I often say that on our show. I say the problem with us men of color when it comes to travel, we talk too much.
You know what? I have to say something. And I have to read when you say that, it's something just hit me, and I just remember. I can't believe this whole conversation in the LGBT community. Gay men, like, this has been a thing amongst gay men forever. Like it's just a known, within the community, it's just a known thing that gay men go to other countries to get whatever, a boyfriend. Like, they might have a boyfriend in DR and they take care of him, and he's, whatever. Like, that's a normal, like, common thing. But like this gentleman said, that they don't make a big fuss over it. They just go.
And they don't put their foot on the neck of they don't put their foot on the neck of heterosexuals in the name of advancing the travels or the fun or the enjoyment of being homosexual and traveling. One of the things that I do on the channel, I promote and I tell guys, listen, if you are in a homosexual LGBTQ community lifestyle, you travel. If you're not finding the love of your life in the geographical location in which you are in, enjoy yourself, take advantage of your passport, and there's love waiting for you too. So I don't just talk to black men. I just interviewed 2 days ago a white guy who has married a woman here in Colombia. They've been married for 37 years. I just interviewed that couple. I'm interviewing another Asian guy that's been here for 4 years, been in Medellin and living his best life dancing bachata. And so these are the type we tried on this side of the bridge to showcase that there's a remnant, a small group of us that are trying to do this the right way when it comes to travel. There are groups in DR, group of men that take care of orphanages, that donate every Christmas to the.
Let me pause you, because it's the same thing. I asked earlier in the show. We're doing the like what the cops do. Like, not all cops are bad, right? Or with the manosphere.
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. Actually, I think me personally.
Let me finish. Let me finish my statement. So here's the thing. I don't think that black men are looking for the same thing. The quote unquote passport bros, I don't think that they're looking for the same thing that other demographics of men are looking for. How do I know? Because of the words out of their own mouth, right? The words out of their own mouth. Secondly, we're all in our 40s, 50s here. I remember from way back when I was in my late 20s, these passport bros were doing this. I knew groups of cops that were doing this, groups of correction officers that were doing this. There was groups of guys in my neighborhood that I knew personally who were going to the Dominican Republic for the girlfriend experience. They would come back with the videos. Yes, they were black. So this has been happening for a long, long time. None of the guys I knew were going out there looking for wives. None of them. They all came back with vulgar pictures, vulgar videos, and they knew that they could go to the Dominican Republic with a couple $100, and a woman would take care of them like she was their girlfriend. So although you have a great thing going, and I commend you because you do a lot more than brandish your Colombian wife, but I just want to let you know the brand looks like you're brandishing your Colombian wife. what? I want to be fair. I haven't watched all your videos, so I'm not.
You haven't. If you actually think that I'm daring to brand my wife, actually you don't know Andre, and you should give me a call. And B, you really don't know my wife, and you're stereotyping.
Okay,
You
no, what
really
I said.
don't know. You really should look at some of our content, Jen, because
Okay,
in
no,
all
that's what I'm
sincerity,
saying. Okay, wait a minute. That's what I'm saying. That I haven't looked at all your content, so I can't
but you
say.
just spoke it into existence into this audience, and that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't speak something to
No, I
existence
said,
in regards to your household.
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. On the surface, if you just scroll, it looks like you're brandishing your Colombian wife, your foreign wife.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. And you're
Okay,
taking it like that.
Okay,
Not
right.
at all.
Yeah,
Because we are a couple. And just like with any couple that's interracial or international, Jen, you have to embrace this. Not everyone is moving with a passport the same way that others are. You have to embrace now, mind you, I agree with you. My experience and what these gentlemen experience are, and the gentleman that I just told you that I mentioned, that's the Asian guy that's here in Manizales, as well as the guy that's been married to his wife for 37 years. We know our experience is rare and is not the norm. I agree with you 100% that over 99% are out there just having their fun, doing their thing, no matter what culture. I also just spoke that the fact brothers are just talking too much, putting their business out there. They're gone from just showing, like you were just saying earlier, showing guys in the neighborhood. Now they're taking it to social media, and now they're taking it on a way to attack individual groups, you ladies back in the States. And that's the problematic narrative in regards to that. So back to what I was saying in the beginning, we know that I know that I'm not the main of the majority, but I've always been a brother that's the minority. And it's my job as a black man to continue to, if I wear suits in the States, wear suits, to respect your platform and your show. That's why I dress the way that I do on the platforms, because I try to showcase not all of us are like that, even though there's only a small group of us. I agree with you 100%. But at the end of the day, the only reason we put out our relationship and put out that marriage exists, and we put out cost of living, and we put out that we volunteer in the communities. And last year we were the city's representatives, ambassadors for the Pan Am Games here, the Junior Pan Am Games here in Colombia, because somebody's got to be the positive light. Somebody's got to be the one when these young kids grow up that they can turn to and say, you know what? Let me follow that light. They might not follow that light at a young age, and some of these older guys might not follow it initially, but it's so many guys that reach to me and say, Andre, what church do you go to in Colombia? I want to go to that church. I'm a Muslim.
Well, let me get a second. I want to say something at that, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. So I just want to say, because I see where you're coming from. I know where Jen's coming from, and I kind of been in this realm myself quite a bit. Even from a standpoint of these younger gentlemen are showcasing certain things. As a person living in that lifestyle, okay, let's just say, because I live a different lifestyle myself, and I even talked to a gentleman who's actually in Afghanistan right now. Living in this lifestyle, I have to walk a certain way. Doesn't matter if I mean to or accidentally do something. You have to know that people are watching you. You're putting out stuff. People are following you, and they're not walking correctly. And even though they're not purposefully putting out, you go there and you go find a girl on the beach. It takes 2 minutes, and she's your thing for the night. They may not be saying that, but it looks like that. And perception is everything. Because even if you don't mean to do it, it is being done, and is establishing that black males, a high population, I'm not saying everyone, is going there for those reasons. Not saying they all are, but I'm saying it's showing something, and it's not good. So what you want to do, I'm glad you're doing, is promoting a different way. Hey, you just don't go into a country you know nothing about, their culture, their laws, their rules, and go there and pretend that, oh, I'm just going to go here and find me a little sexy thing. She's going to be all about me, and then be one day wife her up. That's not what they're thinking. Their mind is not in the same place maybe yours is. And for those men, you need to redirect them and make sure the people who are promoting the bros go out, say more than that. and the ones who are being promoted, and you guys are helping promote them. Let's just say, even if you're not doing it, you guys might have to have a back conversation and say what you did was wrong. And I know you just said you did have a conversation with him, but why wasn't that done prior to him getting in trouble?
But
and I'm not saying that you can't take responsibility for everybody else, but this is a platform that you're pushing. And if I saw that, I would be like, hey, Jen, you're talking about poly people like they just popping it wide open. And every time she does that, I come if I can, and I stand here and I show them different, because I don't want anyone to mistake my life crazy.
That is great. That's a great point. That's a great point and a great question, because you said he's your friend and you obviously have his phone number. This man has been carrying on like this for months.
Now, mind you, Jen, and other sisters on the platform, I 100% agree with you. But because we all know the old saying, you can lead a horse to water. See, a lot of people are assuming because what has been going on with Austin has been perpetual, that us behind the scenes, the old heads, haven't said anything and haven't continued to say anything to him. So the assumption, because he constantly, but you realize it's been a lot of people behind the scenes, some very influential people, very successful guys that have been living in these geographical locations a long time, that have had discussions with not just him, but a lot of the younger generation that are coming along, brand new passports and wilding out, and they're still got that young testosterone and drilling going, and the human brain doesn't even fully develop until the age of 25 years old. And you're 23, so you don't even have all your faculties yet. And so we realize this, and we realize a part of not even having your faculties is you're hard-headed. You're hard-headed. Old souls can tell you about it. So it may seem like behind the scenes we haven't been making those calls, but Jen, we have been making those calls to a lot of the guys, and we will continue.
Good. Andre froze.
Got frozen.
Wi-Fi.
So my thing is this.
Like, the mic.
YouTube told them, listen, you can't be sitting there trying to ruin our content machine, okay? They froze.
I'm sorry, I froze for a second. Sorry. but who are they going to turn to? And so I myself and other guys and like gentlemen on this panel, we try to set an example. We're not perfect, but we try to set an example of when they're done. We always say when the smoke clears, when the party is over, when the wilding out is done. Hopefully, some of the advice that we gave and the example that we set will help some of these guys, whether it be finding love back home and realizing that there's love in the United States. Because I'm advocate of, I don't know what you guys are talking about, because I can't say I had feminine women back home in the States. I always did. I always had women that were fit, that were my workout partners. I always had women that had goals, and I never had argued. So I can't sit back and say while I was in the States that, yes, the women were this, that wasn't my experience. So for me to even try to promote and say that women in the States are all like, no, they aren't. But if you decide to go global, there are opportunities out there, yes, but do not put down women in the United States in the name of trying to accomplish your goal. And that's what we try to tell these young men behind the scenes that many people don't know about.
So
because we know what the young guys don't know. We know how to shut up.
Let me ask you this, Andre, and I appreciate you even being up here to discuss this. I really do. Let me ask you this. Are there, in all your videos, is there any video where you're saying everything that you just said right now, specifically to passport bros and to younger men?
Constantly. Hey, Jen, they don't like me. they don't like me. You just don't know. Every Friday, I have an episode called Friday Night Drink in Hand, and I rip them a new butthole every episode.
Anybody that's listening, salute.
Every Friday. One of the reasons why guys, listen to what I have to say. Is because I'm transparent and honest. You guys are doing this. The rest of us aren't doing that. You should improve on this. What are you guys doing? What do you think how people are? I'm constantly putting their feet to the fire, because it's already enough to be African American. It's already enough to be African American and be represented in a negative light just in general from birth. But it's another thing once you cross a border and you go into America, you go into other countries, and they automatically assume, because of our American arrogance and entitlement, like these gentlemen were saying, you have to battle through all that. And so
Andre,
you're being called out. You're being called out in the chat by several people saying you do talk about American women on your channel, so you're capping.
Absolutely, I do.
So what do you say?
What do you say? We want to hear it.
First of all, I do say that American women, when it comes to certain American women, I never use the term all, and I use the term some, and I use this term enough. This is one of my favorite terms that I use, is enough to notice. There may not be all, but there's enough to notice when I say this, that, and this. But then I also back it up with, realize there are some great ladies in the United States. So anybody can go into, see, here's the beautiful part of being a YouTuber. You can go to any of my content right now, and you can pull up any of it, and you'll see how hard I was so hard on guys that YouTube put me in YouTube jail, because I was cutting out everybody for so many months, and YouTube was like, Dre, you got to calm down with cussing these dudes out. So I had to calm down, because I'm putting my foot to the fire to men. If you want to say this about the United States, I said, listen, I understand. I say this about the United States. United States is a girl that I took to the prom, but she don't look like that no more. I understand. But at the have no rights, A, to say anything about these countries if you had no plans on living there again or visiting there on a regular basis. B, I don't live there. I haven't been in the United States in 6 years. So who am I to even understand the dating?
What do you mean by she doesn't look like that anymore? The woman that you took to the farm? I'm just curious.
It's not what it used to be when we all were younger, and it's a different world when it comes to dating. We all have to admit that, whether it be with social medias around and people don't date face to face, whether it be because of people text more. It's not the United States where
no, I mean, when you said the girl you took to the, I know we date differently now, we text. I meant, what did you mean by she?
That's what I mean. The United States, that's the narrative I'm giving. The United States is not like it was when I was young. That's what I'm saying. Now the dating, what I mean by that, the dating arena.
Specifically, you said the girl you took to the prom. It doesn't look like that.
That was a metaphor. That was a metaphor.
Okay.
I was using the United States as something that was beautiful at one point in time, but it looks completely different now. It is more difficult to be in the dating arena than when you and I were younger in the dating arena, Jen. It's a completely different world with these young people.
Can I add on to that really quick?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like you put them in the hot seat. A lot of the actual, I wouldn't say the issues, but a lot of the rebuttals by passport bros that fall in a certain category have to do, you'll hear it over and over again. What do they normally say? American women are not feminine. Like, these are the arguments. They'll say American women are not feminine. They're a lot more masculine than women overseas. That's one of the many arguments. Now, I'm not saying that's reality, okay? But these are the arguments that this category, because you got to keep in mind, there's different categories of if you want to call them passport pros. The category that has an issue with American women is the ones that think they're not feminine, the ones that think these women don't provide a lot, they're not bringing a lot to the table, the ones that think these women have a feminist mentality, ideology they follow. You can go on and on with the lists of disagreements they may have. So it's easy to sell women overseas. But here's the problem that most people don't understand. You don't speak the language. You don't understand the culture. You're not going to get into it. I've seen, let me elaborate on this. I know a guy in Chicago who's Asian American. He's 40 years old. He's got a 21-year-old Colombian. Supposedly it's his girlfriend. But if you look at all his actions, the guy doesn't speak Spanish. He uses a Google Translate to communicate to his girlfriend. Now you tell me, is this a relationship, yes or no? I've lived in Colombia. I know what it is. And the harsh reality of it is, when I'm honest with this person, I tell him, are you sure you're in a relationship here? He automatically turns it on me and says, well, his argument is, it is, and then he's got reasons why I don't want to elaborate on in case he's watching tonight. But who knows if he is, right? But
that's the sad part. There's so many guys that are out there like that.
Living in that country, and what I know, it's not his girlfriend. He's 40 years old. She's 21. When he travels to Colombia, they don't leave the Airbnb or hotel he's at. They don't go out in the street. She's 21 years old. He doesn't speak the language. What's he going to do? Pull out his phone, use Google Translate to tell her, let's go to a certain restaurant. This is why people don't realize this. If you don't speak the language, you don't understand the culture, and the other person doesn't speak your language, understand your culture, that's a barrier. So even if these passport bros are going overseas, they're not going overseas to find a wife. It's a fantasy world they live in. This is what most people don't realize. It's a fantasy world that they live in. And you guys,
but one of the things that I could say, not to cut you off, I want you to remember your thought. I think one of the things that we as the public are having come to the reality of is that we assumed that they were looking for wives, and a lot of cases they weren't selling that. A lot of the passport bros videos, which I listen, that I don't agree with, these guys are showcasing. I'm coming to party. I'm coming for the ladies. I'm coming to hang out. And they're not showcasing any of what we represent. And I'm not saying that we're better than, but what I'm saying is like I said, two sides of the bridge. And so a lot of times we as the public who are watching them are maybe assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, are assuming that these guys were looking for wives. And I tell them all the times, I know you guys are looking for wives. I say you guys deal with beautiful bottom feeders. And I often say this is one of my metaphors that I use. I say Colombia or South America is like going to one of the most beautiful apple orchards you ever went to. I say you're in there, beautiful fruit. I say, and you could even grab the low-hanging fruit. I say, but what do? You look down on the ground and you grab an apple off the ground just because it looked good on one side. You turn it around, there's worms, ants, and dirt, and you eat it. And you keep walking through the orchard and you're on the ground. You're not reaching for any of the beauty of that country. I say, and then when it backfires on you guys, you wonder why I got sick, why it didn't work out. I said, because you guys you kept reaching for the apple because it looked good on one side, but it wasn't good at all for you. And I constantly use that metaphor on our channel because that's what guys do. They have the opportunity to meet some good people, but they don't take advantage of it. But I can't answer. I don't have all the answers for every dude, but that's what I noticed.
It's probably better than what they've ever been able to touch in America. So it's a step up for some of these gentlemen, especially the ones who have to brag. I agree with you.
A big step.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I have to say something real quick. I think I've been listening in. I think there's something that people aren't also mentioning. There's a political component attached to this. I'm gonna read a quick excerpt from something. As the largest democracies in the Western Hemisphere, the United States-Brazil partnership is rooted in a shared commitment to sustainable economic growth and prosperity, promotion of international peace, security, and respect for human rights. Now, if brothers are going over there and creating this perception that as Black men we're going over there and we're disrespecting their women and we're shitting all over the floor and we're behaving in a very arrogant manner, what does that do to these foreign relations? There's always a bigger scope attached to your actions. And this is one of my problems that I have with Black men in our community. A lot of times, to the point of the brother that was said before, brothers not only don't know how to shut up, but they also don't behave with foresight. Mm-hmm. You have to have foresight. You have to understand the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture connected to all of this, and now we just probably just let these guys just add another jacket to the perception of Black men.
But you know something, brother? I say, and I told Austin this was needed. This was needed for this moment in time. It was needed for something to shake you guys up and have you realize you cannot walk into other people's countries and disrespect their countries. Now, all of the it needed, and I told him, I say, and it needed to be you. I say it's sad that it happened to you, and it's sad how everything unfolded. I say, but it needed to be you. I say, because now these other guys will see I have to be respectful and I have to carry myself. And just one brother said, you got to start learning the language, the cultures, the families. Don't complain about, well, I don't like this particular food. What is this? I say, no, I was with a guy today. This is his first time here in Colombia. And I had to tell him Colombians don't talk loud. I say, you went on. But we as Americans, you can hear us from the other side of the room. And so I had to let him know, in this culture, you don't talk that loud. I
Yeah,
said,
you need to go to
you go
Puerto
to
Rico.
the largest airports in the world, and it sounds like the library. My point in saying that is that he's right. We do have to learn these cultures, and so this did have to happen. Me personally, I'm not glad that it happened to the gentleman, but I'm glad that it happened to the communities. We can have these discussions among us that use passports and travel like this, whether it be black or white, because the way that the narrative was going, it was going to get worse and worse and worse. It needed a pump the brakes moment. It needed a reality check. It needed so now guys is finally turning to us old heads, and we getting a lot of calls from the young guys. Okay, how do I do it right? How do I do it to where I don't look like I'm not out here trying to wild out? So
let me
now,
jump
go
in
ahead.
here real quick. I'm glad it happened to him. I'm glad it was him. You know, him and others like him. And like I said, these dudes are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. They exploit these women. They monetize these women. Austin, especially, he had a lot of videos chasing women around, asking them questions, making them look vulnerable, making them look easy. And he was on a high about it. Okay, so I'm really ecstatic that it happened to him. I support Stephanie Ribeiro getting him out of the country. I support her encouraging women from other Spanish-speaking countries. She's encouraging people to keep this fight going. This is not going to stop with Austin Holloman, and I'm really glad that these women are fighting back. These passport bros is not just about them bashing Black women. It's about them taking advantage of impoverished women, underage women, women that are vulnerable. So I'm glad it happened to him. I actually wish it would have happened to someone even more popular in the space, but it's okay. We'll take the little dude for now. But I'm very glad it happened to him. A question I have for you is, you know, you seem like you're the mayor of Columbia, and you're in the church, and you're doing the community work, and you got a beautiful Colombian wife. I don't see a need why you'd have to fix your face to talk about American women at all in a negative light. And I know you tried to roll over it like we didn't hear it, but I don't see why. If you're this stand-up person and you're different than these other passport bros, and you're talking to young men and you're trying to be the mentor, you have to understand, you said yourself, their brains aren't developed to the age of 25. This kid is what, 23 years old, and he's listening to you saying negative things about American women. He can't interpret that. All he's thinking is, see, all these passport bros said these women in America ain't shit. They stink. They this, they that. So even the nice guy in the suit is saying something negative about American women. So how do you separate yourself from that if you yourself are also speaking negative about
First of all, I don't consider myself, and never said that I'm I actually did a video yesterday with that. I've never considered myself a passport bro. I'm an expat. I'm a digital nomad. My desire was always to become a digital nomad and make all my money online and travel the world. So that's my desire. This passport bro moniker that's come on over the last few years, that's like I said, I've been living outside the United States for 6 years and lived in several different locations. Now, as far as telling truths, if I'm putting my foot to the fire on the behavior patterns of the men at times, keyword is at times, I'm going to talk about some of the behavior patterns, and I'll say this when women in our audience say, ladies, listen, you aren't innocent either, because the ladies will come to our platform and hear me talk and hit the guys and come on the guys, and they're like, yeah, Andre, get him, Andre. But I'm like, wait a minute, ladies. All of us aren't innocent either. You ladies need to work on this. You need to work on that too. There's some areas that some to notice need to work on as well. So when you guys try to sit back, like I'm like Kevin Samuels, I really don't look at or follow the pattern or behavior mindset of the chat, because we know that the chat can build you up. We know that the chat can tear you down. So I really don't focus on what the chat has to say per se. But at the end of the day, I am always fair when I make my statements, and I never tear down a whole group because none of us represent a whole group. The ladies in the United States, we all know there's some good ladies, and I tell ladies this, just like some of you ladies say. I say, some of you ladies, you need to leave your girlfriend at home. I say she is the worst person to travel with. Now, am I talking about all ladies in the United States? No, but some of the ladies in the audience, no. Yeah, I can't take my girlfriend. That particular girlfriend, no. Andre is absolutely correct. So when I make statements about ladies, I know to say it in a general statement and not being direct to all individuals. And I talk about it from the narrative of the story in which I'm talking about. For the example that I gave about ladies saying, this is the reason why I travel solo, because I can't trust my girlfriends.
I have a question.
Many women do that. Go ahead.
So do you feel like, I would like to address something that has been addressed before, but I would like to hear your take on it. A lot of people feel that a lot of the passport bros, especially the Black ones, are dealing with some sort of self-hate and dealing with the issue of not liking Black women, right? Or hating Black women. We can see it in the way that they bash, but then the other end of that coin as well is with all the promotion of going to look for a wife or a girlfriend, it's never even like going to somewhere. They're never picking Black women. They're either picking, like racially ambiguous, or like they're not going to go down to Jamaica. They're not going to go down to the Bahamas, or anywhere else like that. They still have to compete financially as well, right? So it all boils, like, to me, like, I can't help but to think there is an element of hate, like not liking Black women in general, because it's like that's not what you go after, even when you're going out of the country. There's many, many, many countries that you can go to. Then you don't go to a country, and then it's only like third.
Look at really. I'm sorry. If you look at the countries they're going to, Colombia, Dominican Republic, they have a large Afro-Colombian, and then obviously in the Dominican Republic, Black women. That's really what they're targeting. Now, as far as I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not going to beat around the bush. In Colombia, that's who they're targeting are women that are either Afro-Colombian or mulatto, Black and Indian, like right in the middle, right? They're not going after the white Colombian women. There's not a lot in the country. Well, there's 5 million. There's more than that percentage-wise, but pure Spanish blood. And what is it? 5 million in the whole country, and how much you look at the breakdown, demographic breakdown. It's majority women versus men. But Colombians, you have to understand something. I want to touch on Colombia just briefly. They have a 6-class system. The women they're targeting are from the lowest class. The middle class and above are harder to target. If you don't speak the language, don't understand the culture, they don't need to date you. They prefer their own men. You understand? Colombians want Colombian men. I'm going to be honest with you. The only ones that would consider it are the ones from the lower classes. Okay? I'm not going to generalize. I'm just telling you what I've seen in Colombia. The ones that are from, I know it's hard for you to
generalize exactly what you're doing, but go ahead.
Well, middle class and above, for the most part, there's no reason for them to try to branch off and start marrying foreigners. They come from a good lifestyle. They're middle class and above. They have jobs. They're educated. So the lower class, and I don't want to, class stratus 1, stratus 2 in Colombia are the lower classes. It's like,
now,
class
for the most part. For the most part, I'd have to agree with you, because I call what guys date down here are beautiful bottom feeders. Oh, they're beautiful, gorgeous women, but they're bottom feeders. And I've been using that term for years. But when you say that upper class and middle class women wouldn't marry or date, that's not true. My wife is a corporate accountant. She is a stratus 5, zone 5. The highest is zone 6. So, and there are a lot of guys that I know that actually have married middle class or upper middle class. My best friend right around the corner, TA, he's ex-Navy. His wife is a nursing practitioner. Her sister is a nursing practitioner. Her other is a doctor, and her mother and father own several businesses around the
But that's
country.
not the majority.
So,
That's
hear
the
me out.
majority.
Hear me
That's
out.
the
Hear me out. I
minority.
listened to what you had to say. I agreed with. You see what I'm saying? Most guys, and that's why I said it's kind of sad that it's just only a few of us that don't move in certain ways, and we kind of like lost in that pot along with the other individuals. Just as when she just mentioned about the self-hate, I agree. I mean, the ladies, the not the self-hate, but the also the women bashing and disliking of women. I said this yesterday. There are a slew of dudes that have ran up under the passport bro moniker in the beginning was positive. It was all these cultures of males coming together. And all of a sudden, you're correct. Men that hate themselves, men that have some He-Man Women's Haters Club against women have somewhat trickled in and made this thing that started off a positive thing into something that is. So I agree with you 100%. I have seen it myself. I don't agree with that behavior in regards to tearing down somebody else. Like I said, if I mention something about a woman, it's just as much as I sit back and I say, well, listen, ladies, you aren't innocent either, because just because I come on the guys, I'm going to correct you as well. But there are some guys, they're not the majority, but there is a pool of guys, you're correct, that just do not like themselves and have something against women. I don't know who hurt. It's one of those, and I hate when women say this, but in this narrative, I have to agree. Bruh, who hurt you? Because some of these dudes come with too much anger and that's one of the things that I kind of try to direct Austin in regards to was, Austin, you letting everybody define your narrative for you. I said, you're just going with the flow. I said, you letting I said, do you know what type of dudes that come into your circle and your space and behavior? And I say, and some of these guys have a real disdain for women in general. I say, you can't do that. And so when I sit back and I say there was a lot of us behind the scenes talking to these younger guys, it really was, because he's absolutely correct. Only deal with beautiful bottom feeders. They go to zone stratas 5. I mean, they go to stratas 1, zone 1, where the women are beautiful, but you would never see me drive through those neighborhoods ever. And so it's those scenarios that makes it look sad. And you're like, dude, and I feel frustrated. I'm going to shut up in a second, but I feel frustrated because I'm like, guys, there are so many good women on this continent that you guys can really meet some quality people since you're here. But a lot of times it goes on deaf ears. But my job is to still continue to be who I am. It's not going to I'm going to sugarcoat and all of a sudden stop being Andre. I'm just going to continue to be me. So it's, so it is.
Oh, Andre, if you don't mind. Okay. So I've been hearing you because I know it can seem like we're trying to say that men, there are other reasons to go to other countries. Like my major is international studies in East Asia. So I get it. It's nice, understand other cultures and stuff like that. And if you really bond with a different culture, you may feel like you better fit there than here in the United States, which is not an issue. But I guess when you're talking about going to other countries, finding a partner for you is also a big part of moving to another place. We don't want to say that it's never. I know it's not.
Oh shoot!
But it still is a big thing to find a partner where you are.
True.
Does that make sense? You want to, even if you do go somewhere else, you want to learn the language, you want to do your research, you want to connect to that culture because that's what you're supposed to be doing. But let's not overlook that. Yes, I'm interested in the males that look there or males there, and you're going to be interested. Do I want to go somewhere where, let's just say, I'm not saying anything about these places, but you want to go to a place in Africa and all the men are maybe really, really tall, and maybe you're like, I really don't like someone who's that much taller than me. I don't know. I'm just saying these are things you think about also when you're going somewhere. So thinking about someone's color, it's just saying it exists. Let's not lie to ourselves. I'm a light-skinned person who lived in Florida, where I was told by many men that they would just try to have children with me because I am fair. It had nothing to do with my personality or anything. And so I'm saying that we can't ignore those reasons, that some people may go to those places for that. So we got to know that that's part of it, and let's not ignore it or make it seem like it doesn't exist.
No, I'm not. I agree with you 100%.
Let's not do that. But you don't want to put the focus on women or men or sex trafficking or nothing like that. But I get what you're saying. I'm glad you're promoting it in a positive fashion. But being able to find a partner is a big part of going anywhere. It don't matter who you are and where you go.
That's the good point. One of the reasons why I try not to push it too hard, because as we all know, not everybody wants to get married immediately or married at all. And so I try not to be, or we try not to be that couple on YouTube it's all marriage. We only talk about marriage. We try to showcase that, hey, wait a minute, if you come here, you can fall in love with the borders that you cross just as much as you can fall in love with love crossing borders. So that's why we use that as our moniker. You can find a love. So we try not to, pigeonhole somebody into, if you're going to watch us, you're going to only watch us if you're going to get married. Then we're ostracizing people. But we do try to showcase as an example. If you desire to get married, we try to be an example of that it's possible, a positive light in order to do that. So I agree with you, Warren. Or even if they don't want to get married, many people want to get into a relationship with somebody, and we promote that part. Or like, once again, somebody that's LGBTQ. My sister's LGBTQ, so I try to remember that. Like, what if Candy wanted to come down here and meet somebody? There are other individuals that are LGBTQ, so therefore let us promote the fact that you can find, any of us can find love, or just relationships, or just good friends, or just a network of people. So when you go back to the States, you have somebody to go back to visit once you go back to that country. So I agree with you 100% in regards to not people into
Wait,
thinking
Andre,
that.
I have a question, because I don't know this about Colombia. I have a big question, because I know like certain countries, their focus when they're finding a partner is getting married. So relatively short time frame, especially like maybe Middle Eastern, things like that. So when they get together, it's kind of for like, if we're dating, we have short time. In Colombia, it's the same thing. And if it is it that being shown? Hey, the women you go down there, this woman's gonna want to get married in a year.
Yeah, but the
or
Middle
her
Eastern
family's gonna be
culture,
like, what's happening?
yeah, Middle Eastern culture is different. The reason why they get married, I'm half Middle Eastern, right? So the reason why they do that is because they're less experienced when it comes to dating. Like, I don't want to generalize, but for the most part, the average Middle Eastern person doesn't date. They do now, and obviously in the United States and other Western countries, but a lot of them are very traditional. So, like, I got two sisters. They didn't date and if they did, there's different components to it. They're very traditional. But you have your liberal component that's influenced even Middle Eastern women in the United States, but they're less experienced than the average American woman. If they date, it's all behind. It's hidden, so it's harder for them to walk down the street and have a boyfriend, right?
And it's easier for them to be controlled as well.
Well, no, you want to know
Okay.
the truth? I'll tell you the truth. When it comes to American-born Middle Eastern women, they know the laws in the United States. They can call the police if the man puts their hands. For example, they know the laws. They know that they're smarter than the average, so they play both sides of the fence. They want to be Middle Eastern when it's convenient. They want to be American, so they want to be American, reap all the benefits, right? And then they want to have the man be the man, take care of them, or whatever, right? Be whatever the traditional guy. That's how Middle Eastern people, for the most part, are bred to be spouses. Whether it's a man or a woman, from the time they're children till they become adults, it's ingrained in their head to take care of their family one day. That's how they're bred. Do they all operate the same? Absolutely not. But it's ingrained in the culture. That's also ingrained in Latino culture. It's all about family. It's all about tradition.
Yeah, I live in a heavy Middle Eastern neighborhood. Very, very heavy Middle Eastern neighborhood. And when I say they the biggest freaks out here running around doing extracurricular things.
I'm about to say these women get down.
Yeah.
I know firsthand experience, but I think
I
we
mean,
got
you're going to have your percentage that do, right? But that's not the majority. That's not the majority. and they're like Middle Eastern women they won't date out of their culture, the ones that are traditional. But the ones that percentage that you're talking about, yes, they're extreme. But overall, the majority are not like that. You understand? Like
And
if you had
let me be clear, a lot of like the ones that I live around, most of them are not American born. Like they're straight out of the country. Yeah,
okay.
like they don't even speak English.
Because everything's traditional until you have a choice.
Right.
So
And that's the part I'm
that's why I'm not gonna really sit there and say majority this and that. I'm like, if you're given the opportunity to or the freedom to choose, then let's see the results. But right now, majority of Indian people from the not Indians, people from the Middle East do not. So that's kind of an unfair thing. And we've gotten way off subject here, because I wrote down a lot of things, right? And I think back to Andre's thing when he was talking about the guy's name Austin. That's his name,
Austin
right?
Holland.
Right. So with the Austin kid, my issue is ignorance is not an excuse. He's
Correct.
past 18, so I can't give him that. I'm not going to give him that. And trying to sit there and say it had to happen to you, to sit there and say, oh, so the next kid. Remember, the next kid. The kid is not going to learn anything watching a YouTube screen, which we have seen. He is not. He is not.
Actually,
He's not.
that's the
Wait.
opposite.
No,
Actually,
he's
that's the
not.
opposite. Actually,
Really.
that is the opposite. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. The reason why they call us influencers is because we do have a certain amount of influence on our audience, whether we want to accept that or not. So just like we were talking earlier, Austin's negative behavior can have an impact on some young people. So it is some of his positive behavior. Hey, babe, some of his positive behavior can have, can have influence on some of these young people as well. We can't sit back and assume that all of his negative behavior can have an impact, but then at the same time, if he decides to turn things around, then that one may not impact the young person. We're called influencers once again for a reason, because we have the responsibility, whether we want to admit it or not, we have a certain level of influence in the lives of many individuals, whether we notice it or whether we acknowledge it.
Yeah, the influence is up to whatever that person feels good about, or what you allow them to let them be influenced by.
I didn't define what they do with the influence. I just said that we
Yeah,
do have a responsibility.
no, nobody's gonna. When's the last time anybody really changed their behavior because of Bill Cosby's show?
He's going to change his behavior because there was physical threats.
No, not we're talking about his audience, because at the end of the day, yes, he has an audience. I don't know how big it is, but we're saying he's enough where people are talking about it. So I guess he has enough influence. We're worried about there are optics at play, which he should have known, or somebody should have been in his ear about. And he didn't know, and
several of us have been in his ears for several months.
Andre, can you let him finish? Because you talk for a long time uninterrupted. So can you just let him finish? Let him get his point.
I like how we sit there and say he didn't know. He knew, because he knows how his audience reacts to certain things, right? So he's what did he say? Like, get a Colombian. That's what he said. What did he say in the video?
Brazilian.
Anybody?
Brazil.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So he said get a Brazilian woman, right? So even though he is saying he may not mean anything by it, but he knows what his audience is going to interpret that as, which has been for the last. When did the pandemic start?
2020.
Okay, so we're going on 3 years of saying Western women ain't nothing. So we're gonna sit there. So
he hasn't been on YouTube more than 5 months.
Let him finish, and then you could correct him.
Okay, Jen.
It doesn't matter if he was on YouTube for 5 months, but everybody on this planet got YouTube, and he's been watching that content, and he knows it. So we got to stop. We're giving out passes when you need to learn your lesson, and he only learned his lesson until he got his ass beat, or about to get his ass beat. That's every criminal in the United States. I learned my lesson. You would have kept going if you ain't get caught. So I'm not giving this kid any excuse whatsoever. And why do we act like we're not living in we're not dealing with the reality of this, right? The reality is he went over there because he's 20 years old, and I don't want to say majority of black kids, but it seems like a lot of black kids are highlighted with going around acting very ignorant, willfully ignorant on a lot of situations. Because we grow up, our parents say, if you know something, you ask. If you don't know the culture, you ask. So he knew what he was doing. He was influenced by whatever channel he was watching to sit there and say, let me hop on this flight to Brazil and let me try to influence her with my money so I can make money off of her, of the people that watch me, etc., etc. So I can't, I'm not understanding where we're going on a tangent of cultures, this and that. The kid effed up. He says he apologizes. That's fine. But we can't deny the fact that he is one of many of the channels or other people that are traveling that are acting like that. He just happened to get caught on YouTube. It's a lot more.
Can
So
I add
what?
on to that when you're done?
No, you can go ahead.
Right. Yeah, well, let me just say this. It's something that the other brother mentioned. He's only been online for 4 or 5 months. Reason why we touch cultures, it's very important to understand this. Goes back to that phrase, when in Rome, do as the Romans. Problem is, he was in Brazil. He's not familiar 100% with Brazilian culture. Now, he started getting threats. That's very serious. Whether he was wrong or he's right is irrelevant. You don't threaten somebody's life. He might have made a mistake, but you don't threaten a person's life. He didn't say Brazilian women are all a certain way. He was, whatever he was doing, sensualizing the women, whatever he did, there's no reason to threaten somebody's life for it. It's not like he was literally saying they're all prostitutes or anything like that. So he was getting threats against his life. That's when it's really serious. Whether his message changes in the future, that's to come. If he changes his ways, I think he will. Again, I'm not going to come to his defense. I think he will. He's not outside of what his message was initially. His message was initially was, look, there's feminine women outside the US. There's women that you can date. Whatever that message was initially, he might have shifted off a little bit and made a mistake. He made a mistake. Not he might have. He made a mistake. He didn't understand the culture. What he did was very disrespectful to Brazilian culture. Now, same in Colombia. I'll give you an example. In Medellin, Colombia, these people, there's culture in Medellin's Paisa culture. The Paisa people, there's only so much they can take with what's going on with these foreigners coming to Medellin because they're not understanding the culture, they're disrespecting the culture. And these, you have to understand the Paisa culture. These are, I don't want to use the analogy of Pablo Escobar, but if you understand what Pablo Escobar is, you don't want to imagine every Colombian's a Pablo Escobar, but that's the environment they lived in for 40 years, right? And culture is really important. I'll tell you what's going on in Medellin today. When I lived in Medellin for almost 3 years, you'd be lucky if you find an American killed in Medellin. Now, as of 2022, nine, I don't know if it's 9 foreigners or 9 Americans. That's unbelievable. Because when I was there, I never heard of one American being killed in Medellin. Now it's happening on a level you can't comprehend. 9 is a lot, even if they've got 200,000 people visiting Medellin in 1 year. That's still a lot. What's happening now is these gangs see an opportunity, and you have to understand something. And last time I checked, Medellin, Colombia had a 40% unemployment rate among adults. Not only a 40% unemployment rate, they also had Venezuelan migrants who are desperate. Desperate people, desperate times bring desperate measures. I don't want to tell you stories. I don't want to freak anybody out, but all I got to tell you guys is when in Rome, do as the Romans. And one thing I learned from the Paisa culture, because I lived among Paisa for 6 years, it made me a nicer person. I have a lot of etiquette, very respectful, very nice. But Paisa people, you don't cross them. You do not cross these people. If you think you're going to do what you do in the United States when you go there, the murder rates in Medellin is probably 5 times what it is in Chicago.
Let me acknowledge.
I don't like to use the stats, but I want to get off topic here. But I'm saying
we're going off topic. I want to I appreciate the super chat. Fahim Jackson says what Andre is missing is the optics. It puts black dysfunction on global display. That's another great point. Thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. Please listen to Don Levon. Hit that like button. We have a lot of people in the room. It'd be nice if I could get your support by you clicking like or subscribe. Okay, if you haven't subscribed yet and you like the panel, please hit subscribe for me. I do like that point. It is putting black dysfunction on a global really platform. Don Levon, thank you for the super chat. Don Levon says he may have known how his followers would respond to what he did, but he didn't know how the Brazilians would respond to what he did. But he learned, made a mistake, changed, and move on. My dad ruled with an iron fist. I think lessons not learned in blood are soon forgotten. So I think he's getting everything he deserves. I don't even care that he was threatened. These passport bros, they put women in danger. They exploit women. And he's going to be okay. In a couple of days, no one's going to give a fuck about Austin Holloman at all, right? People are going to move on. But these guys do go to these countries and they do exploit the women, and they do take advantage that the women are disenfranchised or poor or desperate. They do take advantage of it, and they take advantage of it in droves. Now, we may have one or two nice guys like Andre that says, no, it's not about the women, blah, blah, even though a lot of his content is how to date a Colombian, what a Colombian wants, what you should do when you're out here and you want to date a Colombian, what Colombian women want from men, why
Absolutely.
I like black men.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A lot of your content is that. So
absolutely.
I know, but you stood up here and said that it had nothing to do with dating or women.
I did not say, Jen, stop. Stop, Jen. I never said that.
First of all, you're not going to tell me to stop. You don't tell me to stop. This is my channel.
Jen,
you want to wait?
Here's what we're gonna do, Jen. Just like you don't want me to disrespect you, and if I'm wrong, Jen, just like you don't want me to disrespect you.
Okay, you're not going to interrupt me on my show. I said if you'd like to correct me after I finish, I'm okay with that. But we're not going to talk over each other because then people are not going to hear us. If you want to correct me when I'm done, totally cool with that. But you don't tell me to stop on my channel, okay? So like I said earlier, you made it sound like you even said I have a list. I made a list. It's a 10 reasons why to move to Colombia. Women weren't even on it. And then you told us earlier, ladies, it's not about y'all. It's not about y'all. So you keep painting that narrative, but a lot of your content is what I like about black men, what you should do before you date a Latina, what Latinas like about black men, what you need to know to come out here. So I'm just saying, don't mislead, because now you're up here and you got put in the hot seat. With that said, I appreciate that you're even up here and have the balls to come up here, because a lot of people are lurking and they're passport bros and they didn't have the cojones to come up here, and you did. So I'm giving you credit for that, respectfully. Rebut.
Okay. As I was saying, it is my responsibility as a passport man that travels, a blue book gentleman, whatever title. I'm an expat. I live in these countries. It's my responsibility to not only to give guidance behind the scenes when I talk to some of these young men and older men, but also, yes, if these guys ask Andre, how'd you do it? How'd you find a good woman? I'm going to put out those particular videos, but that does not dominate my content. I give you a perfect example. Throughout the month of December, for the most part, our content was centered around getting donations to give to the Children's Cancer Foundation. And what the gentleman just said in regards to the Pisces, we did the whole month videos talking about, guys, how to move safely in Medellin, what mistakes that you're making. You're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. Correct this. We talked about the deaths that took place in 2022. So when you sit back and try to sell the narrative, because that's what you just did, whether you realize that or not, Andre is only showing the dating. Once again, you really have not looked at
only. I didn't say only. No, I didn't say only,
because
Andre.
I didn't. Now, because I didn't say only when it came to, like I always say, I never talk in the extremes. So I never use the term only. Like, no, I don't do videos in regards to dating. I don't talk about Colombian women. I'm married to a Colombian woman. I have a successful, happy marriage. My wife is my best friend. We travel the world. I don't have my wife. So at the end of the day, when gentlemen and even ladies ask, how are you going about doing this? I'm going to share my story. My wife has a whole channel dedicated to showing men and answering questions on, guys, you need to make some changes. You need to do something different because you're attracting the wrong women. We don't want these guys, like this gentleman just said, to continue to get hurt. I said this past Friday. If you think the deaths of foreigners in 2022 was bad, if you guys don't change in 2023, it's going to get even worse. And so it's our responsibility. At least
Can I
take
say
on
something?
that moniker. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I just want to say that, you know, I pay attention to what's going on in Colombia. You know, deaths to foreigners, like the man from Mexico City was saying and stuff. Yeah, I realize they've gone up, but you know what else has gone up? Food prices, and they were locked down. So these variables that it's just because American men came and were acting up.
No, that's not what's going on. They're being targeted.
Money is being targeted. I get it, because you have high unemployment, you have inflation, the food is expensive there. I'm very adept at what's happening in Colombia.
So there's two components.
So Americans have money, right? And
Well,
they're going to target Americans.
There's two components that's going on in Medellin. Number one, these guys are going after the Stratus 1, Stratus 2 women, as our brother over here said.
I've never heard of that before, but go ahead.
Oh, they are.
Okay,
No, I get what you're saying.
Well, listen, I mean, no disrespect to you.
What you're saying? No, I'm not doubting what you're saying.
No, I know, no disrespect to you.
And my woman was not whatever Stratus you're saying.
We're not talking about gentlemen like us, and that's our point. Guys like us are such a minority in this whole conversation, and it's sad that we're such a minority because you guys represent a positive way of going about traveling, no matter what country we're in.
Yeah. I think that's our disconnect.
You see what I'm saying? It's like us three at a concert or at a football game, and we're yelling at the top of our lungs on how to do something particular right, but in the correct way. But at the same time, we know that we're in a football stadium of men that aren't even, you know, our conversations aren't being heard except for among the few of us that are positive dudes.
Yeah.
Andre, I cannot help but to ask this question. Why are so many people coming into the chat saying that you're unrecognizable on this particular like this is like what is it that they're saying? What do they mean by that? Like they're saying that you're presenting a whole different something than they're used to getting. What could they be meaning by that?
Because usually guys know when I'm like Jen said, I gotta respect her platform. I can't communicate with that bravado that I use when I'm talking to guys on Drink in Hand every Friday night. When I'm coming down with a hammer, I'm not gonna come on in any other platform. I'm not gonna come on and be that Andre compared to when I'm at home. In other words, when I'm at home on my home field, then I could be, hey, let's get, you know what, guys? Here's what the y'all doing wrong. You keep on taking your stupid. This is how I talk on my platform, but I'm not going to come on and use that type of bravado or that type of behavior. And it's not my platform. That's not fair. You see where I'm going with that? And that's why guys are like that. I don't even recognize Andre because he's quiet. He's mild mannered right now because normally they know me for.
Andre, you could talk how you talk here. You could talk how you talk.
No, you know why? You know why, Jen? Another thing that I found out a couple weeks ago. This is why we got ended up and put up in YouTube jail because YouTube just changed the policy a couple weeks ago on profanity. So all profanity is the same, and it impacts that person's your money. What advertisers is going to work your way. So I can't be that Andre on somebody else's platform and impact their monies. That's not my place to do that, and especially since I'm trying to clean up my vernacular on my own channel. So I'm not going to come and curse on somebody else's channel if I'm trying to clean up my language on my own channel too.
I appreciate it. Someone said you see his latest videos, he didn't learn his lesson. I'm telling you, the dude.
Not surprised.
The dude to me looked like a knucklehead. He looked like a knucklehead. I'm sure he's just going to go to a different country and he's going to keep putting out the same content. I don't think he's going to turn into this man who respects women in foreign countries. I think he's going to be the same clown. It's just going to be a different country.
Personally, I think he'll be more cautious, right? He's not going to make that mistake he made in Brazil. That's probably what would happen. But overall, I would say, look, he's going to save face based on what happened. He's not going to come out and, I mean, he made a mistake. He admitted he made a mistake, but he's going to have to save some face for that self-respect he has for himself. And I think any man would probably do the same. I don't think you're going to come out and just give it. You have to understand his mentality. This is a 23-year-old man, young man, who packed up and moved to another country. Do you know how difficult that is? You have to have some semblance of courage to go to a foreign country where you're trying to learn the language, the culture.
Or desperation.
I was going to say that's more like desperation. That's what I was
Exactly. Desperation.
Wait, I get what you're saying, but courage to move to another country means jack nothing. So I said at the end of the day, that doesn't. Yeah, I have moved across. I have moved across the country to other countries. That's
I didn't
not
ask that. I asked,
important.
have you moved to another country?
For a few months for work. That's it.
Because if you have, then you would not sit back and make that statement.
That's right.
I will say that it is. I would say
it is not.
Listen, I would say that it is very
you would never make that
difficult.
statement.
Okay.
To have no support system, to move to another country that you don't know the culture or language, that is not an easy decision to make unless you have a support system.
And that's why.
Real quick, I wanted. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting your name. The guy from Mexico City, but I want him to. Rob, you said?
With a D, Rod.
Rod. Okay, Rod. I want you to explain, because I want to make sure I understand when you're saying like the different tiers. You're saying that men are going into these countries, or going into Colombia and places like that, and they're going to, like, say, the dangerous areas, trying to pick up the poorest people, and then they're getting killed. I could understand that.
So here's what's going on. They're not going into certain areas to pick people up. All right. So let me just clear you on that. Number one, they're using online platforms like Tinder and dating platforms.
Right.
And what's happening is it's so much easier. Everyone's doing it in the United States. Everyone's checking, whatever.
Yeah.
Long story short, recently there was an Asian American guy from California, met a woman on Tinder, online on Tinder, went out to a restaurant with her. She drugged him.
Okay, I've heard those things. Yeah.
Now here's what's happening. You guys don't even understand the whole process. There's a taxi. She'll either text. Chances are she'll text a cab to get ready for her to pick him up. He's already drugged, and she's pretending he's drunk, and she's grabbing him, taking him into a cab. The cab driver's in on it.
Right.
He gets a percentage. When they're in the cab, next move then becomes, how are we going to take as much as we can from this guy? They're really not concerned if you live or die. Okay? They're not measuring how much of this scopolamine and sleeping component or whatever else they're placing in it.
Right.
And they're drugging you. All they're really concerned with, how do I get your body from point A to point B, which is a taxi. Once you're in the taxi, it's game over. You're not coming out. You're lucky if all they do is dump your body in the street. I'm not trying to scare you.
No, I hear you.
And that doesn't include if they just give you go ahead, brother.
I was just saying, I'll never be in that position, but I know what you're talking about. Jen and I made reference to the videos of the guy who kind of caught the girl that did that to him. I forgot what the substance they use to drug him, to put him to sleep. But yeah,
is it GHB?
So you're hearing about the deaths. There was a Black American guy that got brain damage last month, and he's sitting in a mental hospital in Medellin right now, trying to figure out. And there's a video that was made on him, and they're trying to figure out how to get him back to the United States. There was a guy that was drugged, who was held for months in a hospital. His mother had to fly to Medellin and bring him back to the United States.
Yeah.
So there's hundreds of stories you're not hearing about. You're only hearing.
So you think it's it sounds to me like it's just safer for American men to stay in America. And
so I can give you an answer to that one. So these guys, I'll answer that for you. First of all, it goes back to what I said about the stratus or class system. It's mostly the poor or working poor classes that are targeting the foreigners. These are what our brother said, the bottom feeders, right? So what these guys are doing is all they see is a pretty girl. They don't speak the language. They don't know if she's educated or not educated. They don't know anything about her. They're using a translator to talk to them. They're talking to them on dating apps. They'll meet up with them in hopes of maybe sleeping with them, in hopes of I don't know what. But obviously, if these are young men with high high testosterone levels, they're, and every young man at 20-something years old is running around with high testosterone, right? Long story short, we can look at the deaths, but you're not hearing about the hundreds of stories. There's one Black American guy recently sitting in a mental hospital. This video made on him. There's also an article that was written in Spanish. So it's happening. Now, are they targeting the bottom feeders? The bottom feeders are these are the ones that are placing profiles online.
Yeah.
In hopes of catching their bait, right? And they do. A lot of times, if they're attractive, which they are, it's easier for these men. When you have a woman that, let's say, I don't like to use numbers, in the United States on a scale of 1, let's say she's a 7, and she's talking to a guy that's a 3 from the US, whether he's Asian, black, white, whatever. She's not interested. I mean, really, she's good looking. She's only interested in one thing. What can I take from you? She's not interested in sex. She's interested in material possession. What can I take from you? Money, laptop, phone. So these are, like I said, the poor or working class classes, and that's who they're targeting. Now, like I said before, 9 deaths in 1 year is a lot. When I lived in Medellin, I couldn't tell you one time in 3 years an American was killed. The only time they were killed is when they were robbed for, let's say they were going to an ATM, pulled out $5,000 for whatever reasons. Somehow the bank informs the guy on a motorcycle. The American doesn't hand over the money, he's dead. Or recently, the Black American guy from Atlanta who was trying to buy a 3-flat in Barranquilla, and he started giving the guy cashier's checks, he made so many mistakes, didn't have attorneys involved.
Embedded kid, didn't know Spanish.
He was killed. So it's, again, when we were talking about, you have to understand the culture. It's culture at the end of the day. Somebody moving from another country to America, they don't assimilate to American culture. Yeah, we have culture, but not the culture these people have. If you don't assimilate to the language, speaking American English, understanding how to navigate the country, you're in trouble. It's the same in any other country.
And the benefit that I've had is the fact that I'm not in Medellin, because I have a slogan I always use: Medellin is not Colombia. Because yes, most of that madness happens in Medellin or Cartagena, but the rest of the coffee region, the rest of the other cities is really not as prevalent. So I try not to have people think that it's all over Colombia. It's average, everyday, going to work, going home from work people that are going to universities. There's highly educated women here that own a lot of things. There's nothing to see Mercedes and Porsche trucks riding down the street here in Cali as well. The Afro-Colombian community is up and coming and opening up a lot of businesses as they're moving from the area of Choco all the way here to Cali. We're starting to call Cali the Atlanta of Colombia, because so many Black people are doing so many amazing things here in Cali. But going back to Medellin, you're right. It's the gateway drug for traveling into to Colombia. Everybody goes there. They watch Netflix. I want to go to Medellin. And the people you're absolutely correct. Everything he said is 100% correct. These gangs are training these ladies to literally target these guys in clubs and bars and online. And Jen, this is why I come so harsh on these men on the platform on Friday nights, because I'm tired of I'm saying, so, and I say it like that. I say, some of you dudes, y'all gonna end up not being remembered except in somebody's photo album. You've got to stop moving this way. You can't come down to a country no language, no culture, no neighborhood, no connections, and you think that, oh, well, since I got a few dollars, I'm American. They all guys. And so that's why we spent the whole month of December talking about exactly what ladies are actually taking the scopolamine and they putting it on their bodies now, not just in the drinks. And what they do is this: the guy shower, make you don't have any drugs on you. Female takes the shower. Then what she does is she takes a heavy amount of Vaseline and put it on her breath.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
By the time she pop, it doesn't impact. She's shielded by that heavy amount of Vaseline. Now he thinks that she's shining up for him. And as soon as he go, he's gone. That's how advanced they've been training the men behind women that look so innocent are training these women in Medellin to target these guys. These guys thinking they're getting off the plane and they're targeting women. You are the target. You are the prey. And so this is how I talk to these guys. You are not taking advantage of anybody to the fullest extent of what you thinking. Dude, you're getting off that plane and you might not make it home. One gentleman who got done, I say, and he said, I didn't think about it. He said, I have a 14-year-old son. He said, and after I made it safely out of that situation, after waiting, being there, and I had to go to the hospital, he said, I realized I would never see my son again. I interviewed him on the show because I wanted guys to hear this is not a game. These are countries that you know nothing about. And this is the irony of it. I actually did a 2-week special on the exact same thing that's growing in the United States. There are so many headlines now of young college girls doing the exact same thing with different type of drugs in the United States now. So it's not even, think about it, even J-Lo did the movie called Hustlers with that was based on a true story with the Asian girl, how they were, when they were in the strip club and they were drugging guys. It's the same format that they use here, as well as in some areas, not all areas, but in some areas of the United States as well, and in other countries. So I try to tell these guys, no matter where you're living, you have to work like you got some sense in your head. You can't just assume that just because I got money, I'm the man. No, because you got money, you're in demand. You're in trouble now. And so that's why I've never been in situations. I don't walk around with my cell phone outside doing stupid things, even though I live in a good area. I don't walk around with a gold watch on just because I know I have one. I don't do those things. I know that I have a truck. My wife has told me, she said, Andre, whenever you stop at a light, always roll the windows up. So the what keeps them from coming or trying to rob you is in regards to the other side of the tent. I don't walk around like I'm American. Windows down.
You're breaking up. Let me say this real quick. We're gonna wrap soon. Please, if you're watching, hit that subscribe for me. Mama's trying to get to 4,000. I'm a couple subscribers away from that. Please hit that subscribe for me. Hit that like button for me. Thank you. I'm almost there, Andre. So let me ask this. I was gonna say, well, first thing I want to put out there, I don't feel sorry for them. That's the first thing I want to say. I don't feel sorry for them at all. You know, they're leaving a country to go take advantage of another situation. We can romanticize it. We can say that, oh, they're out there looking for their wives, and you know, they're going to give back to the community. Most of them are not. Most of them predators. Okay, and they just like, I want the easy way to some vagina. Let's just keep it a buck, right? So I don't feel sorry for them. If you go out there and you got, and you, I mean, that's what happens. That's what women who are selling their bodies do. And not only that, I love this comment here. The real Dominican said, with the crackdown on drug cartels in Latin America, the organized crime will heavily turn their attention to prostitution and pimping to make money. Passport Bros is on the brink of extinction. I don't know if they're on the brink of extinction because they're desperate for a foreign easy vagina, but I will say they're on the brink of living a very dangerous life, because I do believe that crime is going to turn to prostitution because it's easy prey. It's easy prey. They're going to look at these men continuing to go into these countries, right? Those men are vulnerable. They don't have a support system. They got a couple $100. They're looking for some booty, and they're going to get got, and it's going to continue getting worse. And they're going to, more murders are going to happen because these people are in their country. These people are in their country, and you're the foreigner, right? So I wanted to ask a question, just in general, to take it back to the main topic. If I'm a woman in one of those countries, right, I would look at these passport bros. I would just scroll their YouTube pages. And my question would be similar to Stephanie Ribeiro. What gives you the fucking right, passport bros, Black men specifically, what gives you the right? Why do you feel entitled to promote sex tourism? Why do you feel entitled to promote women even as wives? even as wives, what gives you the right to start a channel and do video after video after video? Like, who the fuck do you think you are? What gives you the right, black man, to start YouTube channels and solicit basically Johns and tricks, all right, for prostitution? What gives you the right? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? What gives you the right? You don't do it to your own women. You don't support the women in your own country. What gives you the right to go to a foreign country, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Panama, Ecuador, the Philippines? What gives you the right? Who do you think you are? That's what I would be thinking. And I'm already seeing, I saw a video from a Dominican woman, the woman from Brazil as well. I'm seeing women fighting back against these black men. Who the fuck do you think you are? Would be my question if I lived in those countries. What gives you the right, Andre, to solicit that? What gives your wife the right to have 20 videos talking about why black men are appreciated, or why people should marry Colombian women, or 10 things you got to know before you chase a Colombian woman in Colombia? Who the fuck do y'all think y'all are? Because there is some predatory behavior in that as well. You are monetizing disenfranchised women, all of you. Now you could put a bow on it, like someone said in the comments, right? Because they said you were putting a bow on sex tourism and what have you. But what gives you the right? Who the fuck y'all think y'all are? Who do y'all think y'all are?
I'm glad that you asked that question. I'm an individual that lived here, married here. I do all the things that I did in the United States. I succeed here just like I did in the United States. I'm a six-figure man like I was in the United States. I'm an educated man. I purchased new books. Actually, I buy books here in this country. I'm still the exact same Andre who I was before. So I have the right to promote my story and my narrative of my experience. I also have the right to answer questions, just like you answer the questions in your chat. I have the right to ask the questions when people email me, and I have the right to answer those questions when people ask me in the comment section. I have that right to do that. Also, I have the right to promote the correct story and narrative of the women in these other countries, and not the false narrative that many passport brothers often promote on their content. So when it comes to other channels, you can sit back and pretend and spew out terms about my wife's channel or my channel. You have that right to say that because this is your platform. But I also have the right on my platform. No.
I could just read your wife's.
I also have.
I could read your wife's.
But notice this. But notice this.
I could read some of your videos if you like.
Once again, you didn't hear what I just said.
Okay.
We have the right to answer the questions that are asked of us. If somebody asks Andrea, what is it about black men that you found that you're attracted to? My wife has the right to answer that, and she put that on the channel. That's one of the largest.
But she has a right not to as well.
She has the right. No. She has, but she also have the right to tell her story from her perspective, just like we all on this platform have that right. So to sit back and say that, wait a minute, this year I'll be getting my Colombian citizenship, so I have to wait until I officially become Colombian to tell my story of my journey and my narrative. So when I come on this platform in 8 months, then I have the right when I'm officially Colombian, or do I have the right to tell the story of my journey in a proper way and show that there are some good news out here in a proper way? So you can sell the narrative, because Jen, I often notice what you do is you love to paint a broad stroke and say that everybody, and not celebrate the few of us and say, you know what, Dre, you're correct. There are a few of you out there that's doing the right thing. But no. You promote it as if even
everybody
you,
on the panel. Did I do that?
Even
did
you,
I do that?
no, like I said, Jen, earlier.
I didn't give him credit for. I didn't give him credit for doing the work in Colombia. I didn't do that.
I think a lot of people gave him credit.
I don't sit back and I follow or get moved by the chat, because I know this. By being in YouTube for over 5 years, your chat will build you or your audience member, and when they want to, they will tear you or your audience member down. So I never get moved by like when I'm public speaking, I'm on stage, I don't let those faces that may not understand what I'm saying in that moment move me to say something else in my speech. So it is when I'm in the platform or when I'm speaking on my channel. I don't let the chat dictate the narrative of which direction I'm going to go, because I promise you, remember this, Jen, Your platform will build you and they will tear you down in that same segue. So don't get moved by what the chat is always saying, because the chat are people behind the scenes, and some of them are just in their basement and they're just saying things to say things. Or some of them are really giving great points, but you can't let the chat, because in the chat I'm seeing, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. I promise you. I learned that a long time ago. Your chat will build you and your chat will tear you down.
Okay, so let me say this. I acknowledge my chat because they're giving me their time. Okay. I also tell my chat, hold it down for me. You know what I'm saying? So I acknowledge the chat. This is the audience. So I don't have a problem with listening to what they have to say, because not everybody wants to come up on a panel. Another thing is, I'm not moved by my chat. I will acknowledge something and I will bring it forth to my panel so we can dissect it. But I'm not moved. I'm not influenced by the chat, but I'm going to acknowledge it because they're in the audience, right? Or who are we talking to? What I wanted to say was, when I'm asking what gives you the right, I mean in general, I mean all the passport bros. I don't just mean you. I'm not attacking you. I'm saying, like, in general, what gives these men, okay? And a lot of them are dusties, right? If we're going to keep it 100, a lot of these men aren't men of means, men of influence. So when I'm asking that question, I'm asking in general, what gives them the right to solicit Tricks and Johns, in my opinion, to go out there and take advantage of these women, because that's what I feel like they're doing. As far as your wife, and I don't want to talk too much about her because she's not here, but I want to say, of course, she can tell her story. I can tell my story. That's what we all do on these platforms. However, she's not telling her individual story. She's literally telling. She's talking.
How would you know that? How would you know that? You're oxymoron and contradicting yourself. You're saying that she could tell a story, but she's not telling the whole story, meaning that you don't know her story.
Right. So let me tell you.
And then you say, I'm not going to say anything because she's not here, and yet you say something.
No, I said, no, I don't want to talk about her too long because she's not here, right? But you bring her up. So she's part of the.
Talking about her at all.
No, you're constantly talking about you.
Be talking about her at all. I don't know what was it that made you desire that you, and I understand that you said, well, she's social media, she's public. I got that, I understand. But once again, you're trying to use what you normally do, and that's why I rarely come on your show, because you have a thing with.
You can leave if you like, and I'll keep talking.
No. Oh, actually, I
okay.
Can.
Bye. I can talk about you without you here.
You have a great one.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
You usually do.
Okay, goodbye. Okay, so as I was saying, since he's a coward. He's offended because people are calling him out on the chat. He's coming up here. So, he could have been here. His wife would have been welcome here as well. He wanted to drop off because he's being sensitive about his own content. So this is what I wanted to do with him on the panel, but he left, whatever. So he's saying that his wife, right, is telling her own story. So I'm just going to read this is her page, right? These two together are promoting, okay, going to Colombia, right, and dating Colombian women. They're not telling their individual personal story. So 10 ways to safely date in Colombia as a foreigner. That's one of her videos. Colombian women hate this about foreign men. Please learn now. Are Colombian women faithful? Reasons to fall in love with Colombian women. Why you should not date baby mamas in Colombia. Interracial dating advice for Colombia. Odd things about Colombia you never hear about women. Why Colombian women date foreign men. What Colombian women don't like about foreign men.
There's a pattern here.
How to get your Latin woman's respect.
I swear, I don't know if I've seen her channel, but I've seen the same stuff. I don't know if it's hers. I've seen these videos.
Yeah. What Colombian women expect from a man relocating? What you should know before you bring her home. What attracts Colombian Latina women to you? So that was my point. Here's the thing. They are entitled to their hustle. They are entitled to their hustle. They are entitled to try to get Black men to go out there to help the economy. They are entitled. I think Andre got offended because he thought I was saying you're not entitled. He's entitled. His wife is entitled to get Black men out to Colombia. He's entitled to get Black men out to Colombia, right? And make a hustle out of it. I don't have an issue with that. I don't knock a hustler from New York. But to come up here and paint the picture that, first of all, sticking to the topic, Austin Holloman is some innocent, poor little, oh, he didn't know, and he's just this baby. And it's so sad that this is happening to him when all of these people collectively, okay, are getting these men to go out there. A lot of them are dusties. He admitted himself is 99%, okay, dust bunnies going out there. Then don't come on my show and piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Like, let's keep it 100, right? Let's keep it 100. So I think he got offended because I'm like, I'm knocking the hustle. I'm not knocking the hustle. I'm just saying, let's talk about the hustle. Let's learn about the hustle. And that was just some of the videos. So he tried to make it like I'm talking about his wife. I don't give a fuck about his wife, but he uses his wife as the lure. So I'm like, let's talk about the lure. That's it.
And that was the thing. Like,
how long was he talking about his wife over here? So I'm like, okay, let's talk about the wife.
That's why I was laughing, like kind of giggling throughout the show, because I'm like, I haven't watched not one of this guy's videos, but I'm just seeing right through it. I'm like, this man is not keeping it a buck with us. And then I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing people who are clearly familiar with his content, and they're all saying the same thing. Why is he different on this show? Like, why is he not standing on the things that he promotes on his channel?
You know,
because we can respect that, like we can respect that, but it's like trying to outslick a can of oil. I state that all the time. Like, that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah,
Don't play
he's
with
got a
my
different message than Austin Holloman. Like, it's a totally different message. And I think the fact that they're probably, I don't know if they're friends, but the fact that there's some type of a relationship there, that's what possibly can cause a conflict. Because if your message is one way, the other guy's message is a different way. This is why I think, like, this passport movement, it has to be dissected and placed in a separate category. Because there's really authentic men potentially looking for wives, right? I know a guy that's in his 60s. I met him in Colombia. I think he's Irish American from California, 64 years old. His wife doesn't speak English. He met her online. Now, these guys that are older Americans, older foreigners in general, they're meeting the women online using a translator, and then going to meet them. But you have to understand, he's 64 years old. He was married to an American woman, has kids. He doesn't want to be lonely. So he went looking for a woman that whatever meets his, his so-called defined, whatever that is. So I ran into him in Colombia, and I see him walking down the street. I called him Gringo just to mess with him, and he's looking around because I could blend in Colombian society and in Colombia. And so then he turns around. I became friends and used to drink beers on Sundays and watch American football games in Colombia. And his wife didn't speak English. Now she does. So you have a different segment or category of foreigners. He falls in a separate category. In these passport bros, you guys are touching on something that is accurate. And again, I don't want to be targeted for it, but they are pushing, these younger guys, they're pushing a certain message. And that's a problem because they're pushing a certain message in another country. They're labeling. If you were to go label Chinese women a certain way, people are going to get offended, even if they're American-born Chinese. You don't think Latinos in America are going to be offended by what's going on. You're categorizing Latino women, even from the old country, a certain way. So it's and no different than myself. If that happened to women back in another country of, my dad's background, I mean, I would be like, okay, you have to understand it goes back to culture.
Well, yeah. We heard you. You were you were very defensive when it came to Middle Eastern women's culture. We heard it.
And you know what? And I don't take it back. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
And the guest actually was right. There's a percentage that are fucking wild or whatever you want to call it, but everybody knows this. Everyone knows this. Oh, why don't Middle Eastern women date white guys or black guys? They're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, Jen. I mean, Jen, am I wrong?
I'm laughing at this comment, the grift. What were you saying?
I was just saying, like, so the people, for the most part, I don't want to say people, but you have to understand when you come from a traditional culture, or conservative, you're not interested in marrying somebody that's a liberal. It's not going to work out. You're
Right, of course.
traditional, you're conservative. Certain cultures, like Middle Eastern people, certain Latino cultures, they're traditional, they're conservative. They're not interested in marrying an American that's liberal. It's not going to happen.
Very
If
true.
it
Got our
does
new,
happen,
we got our new big truck on the panel.
Listen, I don't know where Andre went. Andre got offended. I thought he was tougher than that. He's been on YouTube for years. For years.
Well, this is what I noticed. What I've
for being here. I mean, what else he wanted? Like, black men, y'all be wanting too much. Y'all be wanting praise.
I just want to say something real quick. You know, at the core of all this, however you want to slice it, this is really about economics, opportunity, and options.
That's it.
Okay, because these brothers are going over there to these places to get the bottom feeders, the people who are poor, who have no options, who have no opportunities. They're not going over there and snatching up lawyers, doctors, you know what I mean, so on and so forth, people who have options, you know what I mean? Because my thing is like this. This is basically saying you didn't leave because maybe you didn't really leave because, you know what I mean, American women are quote unquote too masculine and they're not behaving. No, maybe you left because they have options. You're not one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you had to go someplace else where the women didn't have that many options. Because at the grand scheme of things, maybe you're average or below average. It is what it is. These are the realities that I think people need to discuss more. And when you discuss those realities, then you can have some real tough, honest conversations.
Like the conversation needs to be like this. Listen, don't get mad at the women for not choosing you. This is just the hand that you were dealt. We were all dealt a hand, and that hand may carry more privilege in one area of life and less privilege in another area of life. None of us have it all. Just accept what the hell you have and figure out what to do with it. And if that looks like you having to go over to another country and getting someone that is more easy and more accessible, so be it. But don't allow that to, just like the anger and the hate and the resentment that they live in, that is not the women's fault. That is no one else's fault. That's just the way this society is made up. The society is superficial. It's we like money, right? People like arm candy. People like to say that they're married. All of those little things play a role in it. And so when you're not able to participate in a lot of those things, you get angry at society. So just, play the hand you're dealt with.
Like Lily, this is like me, like if I went to Jen one day, be like, yeah, man, I went out to, you know what I mean, I don't know, out to Florida. I was trying to find some women, blah, blah, blah. And it didn't work out for me. And she said, oh yeah, like what was your pool? I was like, oh no, I was just trying to highlight all the women who only date millionaires. And she'll be like, but Haran, you're not a millionaire. But what if I got lucky one night though? You don't know. You hate him. Like, does that make sense? I sound like a man who went out, who literally went out of his way to go into a pool that he is completely out of space in.
What you're not going to do, Haran, is ruin my dream of Oprah. What you're not going to do.
Well,
okay,
hey, brother, you know what I mean? Go ahead, man. Keep trucking, man.
I want to say really quickly before we pass the mic to No Saint. I'm literally almost at 4,000. We have 85 people staring at us right now. Okay. I need a couple of you to hit that subscribe button for me and hit that like. Y'all are watching. Y'all are loving this. Okay. Even the people that act like they hate it, you love me. You're a confused fan, honey. It's okay. Let mama bring you home. Hit that subscribe button for me. Gracias. No Saint, I wanted to pass to you because I know you're trying to jump into the spades game again.
Yeah. No problem. You know what I noticed with the man that was on here earlier,
Andre.
Yeah, Andre. I can't help, and it's just the way I am. I can't help when I'm listening to somebody just saying, like even listening to the videos you mentioned by his wife, like
there were more. That was
but
just
I'm thinking to myself, who believes that this one person knows what all Colombian women want? I mean, it's so ridiculous to me. Or you got to do this if you want to be successful. I never went in. And first of all, I didn't go to Colombia to meet my wife. I met my wife when I was overseas in Spain. So let's just get that out. If anybody thought I was one of these people that went down there and did that.
You ain't a passport bro.
No, I'm not a passport bro. But it wasn't like it's bizarre to me when people I was sitting there watching him and thinking, okay, so he's like one of these guys. He's one of these guys that everybody looks up to, like Kevin Samuels type. Everybody looks up to and acts like this. There's one way to. I'm not, and I hope I'm not offending him, but like there's one way to do this, or this is what you got to do to be successful. What Rob? I'm so bad with names. Rod. What Rod was saying, what he was saying to me is more genuine, which is invest in the culture. Like my wife knew English, so I didn't have to have an app. Invest in other people's cultures, learn about things, learn about how things work. And guess what? And I told you this before, Jen, there are still obstacles. And we were in together for 20 years, and there's still cultural differences. So it's not like it's not easy. And what I think about God, I think it's ridiculous. Like even he was saying he went to the prom with this American girl, or he went to the prom and the girl changed or whatever.
He didn't want to elaborate. He slithered right out of that.
There's so many women.
For him.
Where are you looking for? The whole excuse of women are too mad. Dude, there's so many women in this country. If you really improve yourself and you work at it and you hit within the league you're in, you're going to find somebody in America. You don't have to go around. But like Lily was saying, people want it easy. They want it easy. They don't want to have to work for it. And their money and their passport gives them access to women that are looking for a way out of the country. Not because they think the United States is great, because they're poor. That's all it is.
And the reason why, for the record, I'm not, I don't like disrespecting people's wives and stuff unless they're in the room. I didn't think I was disrespecting her, but those two are in cahoots with this whole come to Colombia and they're in cahoots. Like
they're monetizing that shit.
It's very
monetizing it. They're on all the thumbnails. They are the brand. Look at my Colombian wife. That's why I brought her up. If he was like a single person doing this, there's no reason for me to bring up his wife, but he was bringing up his wife. You know what I mean? My wife is this, and she's a tier 5, and there are 6 tiers. And so I'm like, that is why I brought it up, because they're in cahoots with the hustle.
I've never heard of the tier system.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently she's a 5, right? They're 6. Now
can I try? Let me say this. I think he touched on something. There's a minority of men in Colombia like himself. I'm not going to badmouth them. Trust me, doctors and nurses are not lining up for somebody that doesn't speak the language, doesn't understand Colombia. And actually, within Colombia, there's multiple cultures. Mm-hmm. You have the Paisas, you have the Caleños, you have the Rolos from Bogota, you have the Costeños. So when you're from one point that you made, you can't say all Colombian women are a certain way. Absolutely. If you want to say women from Cali, this is what they look for, then that's a possibility. You want to say the Paisa women, Paisa women are different. It's totally different. You go to the coast, totally different culture. So I think if they said, look, if you're looking to date Cali, Colombian women, then you can say, here's what they're looking for, right? So from that standpoint, I would agree with you on that. It's like me trying to tell you how to date Southern women. I'm not from the South, right? I'm from the Midwest. You would have to talk to somebody from the South that understands Southern culture, and they could break it down for you. But just to elaborate on what he said earlier, you got to understand this, not to badmouth the brother, just like YouTube it could be a business also. So at the end of the day, it's how you package what you're selling. It's how you package what you're selling. And I like him a lot, but he's got a package he's selling, and whatever that is, he's not selling what these passport bros are selling. I would tell you that. I know him. He's not selling comfort sex and everything else. His is more sincere personally. I think he's looking to, look for guys similar to himself. If you're looking to move,
I think he's a great guy. I also think both things can be true. I think he's a great guy, but he is capitalizing off the distance. He's definitely capitalizing off the Dusties. He knows that these men can't afford to be out there. He knows that their experience isn't going to be like his, but if they're paying for the training, then great. It doesn't make him an evil, malicious person, but it's a hustle, and he's using his wife as the, poster situation.
And never mad at a hustle, man. Never mad at a hustle, man.
Never mad at a hustle.
Never.
I complimented him, for having the guts to come up here and stuff like that. But I'm not.
Don't act like it's not a hustle, though. That's what we get mad.
Exactly.
That's the problem you guys had, right?
I'm not gonna let you get away with that on the block.
That's what I had a problem with, and I was going to ask that was going to be my next question. Out of what is educated guess on your audience? You should know your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, out of your audience, how many of those do you feel like are looking for this because they're unable to compete in American culture?
You know what, you're touching on something that's really important. When you said, you said Dusties and everything else, here's what's happening. These guys are going to Colombia. A lot of them are not coming back alive. A lot of them are coming back mentally damaged by being drugged. If you look at the amount, and the coincidence is they're targeting these Dusties that are insecure, lacking whatever tools they need to try to navigate in another country they are not familiar with. They're going to get hurt. And they're coming back in body bags, and they're coming back damaged. And as a matter of fact, I don't like to use fear. I don't like using fear. Let's just look at the facts. Last month, a guy he's currently sitting in a mental hospital in Medellin. He was drugged. He's not recovering. The Colombian government will not be able to, they're not allowing him to go back to the U.S. until they figure out how to handle the situation. Another guy was in a mental hospital, another black guy from the U.S. His mother came to pick him up. We can go down the list. Another guy who's been traveling. He's a seasoned passport bro, black American, after traveling Colombia for 15 years. He was found in his apartment after a week because he was dead, and the neighbors smelled a corpse and called the police, and he was drugged and killed. You can go down the list. I mean, there's so many stories, it's ridiculous. A lot of these guys that actually are being drugged, they're not going to come out and tell you they're being drugged. Some of them have the courage to come out and come online and tell you they're being drugged. The way you can find out they're being drugged, it's in Spanish. You can go to a certain site in Colombia. It gives you the stats. It says an American was drugged, killed. Another one was stabbed. Another one was drugged, body thrown out. Like, it's in Spanish, but if you can read it, you'll know it's not, I'll tell you the truth. I don't even go to Medellin. Like, if I go there, I just go to visit friends and I get out. I don't go there for any other reason.
But you know what, though? These gentlemen, these passport bros are not going to adhere to that type of warning because simply they want the illusion. They want the fantasy.
Yes.
And they're going to avoid and don't tell me anything that's going to shatter that. And how do we know that? Because a lot of them are paying for women that, come on now. Yeah. She wouldn't be with you if she was if she had more options, she wouldn't be with you, but you don't care because you're getting the illusion. So unfortunately, they're not going to adhere to those, but it does need to be put out there anyway.
Look, I'm a firm believer that a woman's behavior is absolutely contingent on her circumstances.
Right.
That's just me.
Right.
So I'm sure she's sweet. I'm sure she's sweet. I'm sure she's everything you ever needed in life. Yeah, she's broke. She has no shoes on. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sure she's all those things, bro. You know what I mean? Now put her in a situation like those doctors and those middle class people, you wouldn't even have bumped heads with them. Let's just be honest.
And just to clarify that, the only ones they have access to that may be doctors or nurses, the ones that are older. That can't get, you're talking about people in their late 30s, 40s. If you were, come on, a doctor, it's not a late 20-year-old doctor looking for a foreigner. It's going to look for another person of the same culture,
which makes sense.
Yeah, and so it's really the older people that can't get married, right? Like in Colombia.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and you can flip that. There's a thing where in some of these cultures, especially Latin America, but probably other cultures as well, where when a woman gets to a certain age, she'll be in the pool for Americans as well, not because maybe she doesn't have money, but there's a shelf life there. It's a different culture. Like older women,
they're like leftover women from China.
Yes,
like in China, they call them leftover women.
Yes, exactly.
When they hit 30 years old, they're considered leftover women.
Yes.
In Colombia,
Samuels, let us know.
what's that?
I said Kevin Samuels, let us know.
Right,
After 35, you're left to.
Yeah. But you know, back to your point, I think what's happening is it's not just labeling a certain culture and people a certain way, women are a certain way. These guys are putting their physical safety at risk. If you want to know the truth, it's dangerous what these guys are doing. I mean, it's incredible. They're going into these neighborhoods that are worse than Chicago. I mean, worse than Central Medellin is not a safe place at night. Number one. Number two, when you call the police in Colombia, you'll be lucky if they show up after 3 hours. Lucky.
So you can't tell me that's not desperation, because people with
like
options are not going to risk their life like that.
I mean, you call the police in Colombia, they don't show up in a matter of minutes. I'm going to be honest with you. Ask any Colombian.
I love this point right here on this comment. B Money says they think they hood already, so they think they can handle foreign hoods. Big mistake.
You don't want to go to no favela.
Right. No, you know the difference is Colombians. I'll tell you something. I don't want to generalize. Paisas, they're real nice, and they're very smooth. It'd be like in Spanish, they come up to you, hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien or no? Like very pleasant. But all along, they're plotting your destruction.
Well, I've heard.
I hate to tell you guys that. I don't mean they're plotting your destruction. I just mean they got game on a level you can't. When somebody comes to you and they're like, you think in America, what do they normally say? People mistaking kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
Colombia, if you're kind, you're strong. Totally different culture.
But you know, I think like that anyway. When I see a person that's like really nice and doesn't bother nobody, my dad always taught me that. He always say, you know, the one who's like doing all the barking, he said, go beat their ass in front of everybody and then everybody will step off you, right? He says, but the guy that's in the corner that's not bothering nobody and that's very respectful, leave him alone. He will kill you. My dad has always taught me that. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of that person. Like, people mistake me, and then when I flip, they're like, what the fuck? Like, they think I'm possessed or something. And I'm like, I'm nice because I'm scared of me. Like, I'm not, you know, like,
well, no, but America, correct me if I'm wrong, in America, it's the other way around. When you're aggressive, you're the alpha. Like, now that you've even used that term, alpha female, like, right? So in America, when you're aggressive, it's not, it's the guy that you're like, okay, he's not, oh, I don't want to fight. Suddenly he's a pussy. In Colombia, it's a whole different story. The guy says, I can tell you story after story where like a guy literally in Colombia, everybody's nice because you don't know who's capable of doing anything. You just don't know. I know a guy personally, like, I mean, you've watched the Narcos shows, and I don't want to get into it. Such a nice guy. But you would never assume this guy's somebody important. Like, I mean, great. He's just, you would never assume this guy, he's such a nice guy. But in the United States, it's the other way around.
African Goddess says, and thank you, African Goddess. You've been dropping some really good comments. African Goddess says, these dudes won't have to worry about coming back to the States in a body bag if they just take their asses to therapy. I don't feel sorry for them. I'm with you. I'm with you. That's what I think. That's the cosign. And the reason why it's hard to feel sorry for these guys collectively because they're online all day long berating women. That is what they do. So you want to go to a Colombian beach and, you know, chase women, foreign women around with your cell phone and say, look, so I could go home with you, you know, and put your arm around it, and you want to play that game, then you get what you get. I don't feel sorry for you. Since when do we feel sorry for Johns? When did that happen? We don't feel sorry for them in America, but we feel sorry for them in Colombia? When did that happen? If you were watching Fox News or NBC News and they said a trick got stabbed to death in a back alley, you wouldn't bat an eye. But now you want us to feel sorry for these idiots that are flying overseas and to be tricks? Well, I'm not
You know, I'll tell you this: the Colombians, a certain amount of their GDP comes from tourism, Colombia. So, but they would love to attract the right people, right? So that way the economy thrives based on whatever GDP they gain from tourism.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, if they really wanted to shut down these drugging and stuff like that, they look, fear's a powerful weapon. So these guys that are getting taken out, I honestly think if they wanted to really stop it, they would go after these gangs. Maybe they're trying to get this bad component or this segment of the passport bros or these guys coming down for sex for the wrong reasons. Maybe they're trying to keep them from coming back by letting them know, hey man, there's a possibility you get drugged and may come back in a body bag or work, or whatever. So that's a possibility there. I don't think it's by, that's their main intention, but they're like, listen, might take a few gringos. I'll tell you a story about a guy that he was beyond the passport, bro. I'll make it quick. He was from Florida in his mid 50s. They called him Jake the Snake. And this is around 2010. This guy would get on the subway, and this is in a newspaper article, and most foreigners know who he is. So they avoided him. He would take the subway and go into the poor areas and proposition young girls. And then when he would do that, he would do everything negative you could imagine. Finally, the government caught up to him, took him down for molesting young girls and for drugs. They were going to give him 30 years. He went to a Medellin prison in Medellin, and supposedly he committed suicide jumping off the third floor balcony. But I think they just dumped his body over it. Colombians don't play. If they think you're a child molester, so they made it look like it was a suicide. I think they just threw his body over the balcony. But that's a true story. But this guy, you want to talk about a scumbag, you can Google his name, Jake the Snake, and in Medellin. Read the story. It's crazy. But imagine how many other Jake the Snakes come down to Medellin or whatever other place,
That's what I'm always thinking about.
These guys are making, they're putting a target on their back, and we're going to close soon. Please, people, I see y'all watching. I see my viewership is going up. The people are coming in the room. I need my subscribers, okay? I can't believe all these people are lurking and they're like, I don't want to press that button. I got to watch, but I don't like it. Press the damn button. It's stupid. Right, that's not it. I mean, it hurts being here sometimes, but you like it. You like
Right.
it. It hurts being here. I know it hurts coming to the block. I'm gonna tell it like it is. But press the subscribe. You gonna like it here.
Right.
I'm gonna say, there's a lot of emphasis, and Lily, you and I spoke about this earlier before we go. There's a lot of emphasis on the dangers these guys are facing, what have you. We can't forget that a lot of these women are underage. They don't have a choice. They're impoverished. They're pressured. Some of them have pimps. It's a lot more dangerous, I think, for those women in those countries than it is for some asshole who's flying in with $40 in his pocket, to be honest, because he can always fly back to America. But these girls, the documentaries are out there. I'm glad that they put Austin Holloman's picture in the paper, because I think these dudes need to be shamed. And I think they need to be seen by the entire country. So everywhere they go, people are like, oh, that's the guy that was in our newspaper. Because I'm all for keeping the women safe. I'm sorry. Never in my entire life did I give a fuck about what happens to a John or a Trick. Never in life. So I'm not going to start because they're black and they're on YouTube. Okay. Not going to start today. Right. A Trick is a Trick. A John is a John. Whatever you get, you get. I'm more concerned about those women, and I'm glad the women are now coming up on YouTube and fighting back, and I hope they can continue to. I've followed a couple of them on Instagram. I support them 110%, and I will continue to. That is my concern. I could give a fuck about a Trick.
Can I say this? Yeah. Jake the Snake was white, by the way, and last month there was a 70-year-old white man that was also drugged and killed in his apartment in Medellin. So you just don't hear about these white passport bros because it's been hijacked by these young black guys But there's a lot of these white guys that are just as bad or worse.
And the disclaimer, he's not talking about Jake the Snake Roberts, the wrestler, so you don't get
Right.
sued.
I knew I heard the name
Yes.
before.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you.
We know.
I'm like, no, I don't think that. I think it would have been big news, right?
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say thank you, Rod. Your
Thank
contributions
you
were
for allowing me on, guys.
okay. Thank you for coming up. You're welcome here anytime. We'd love to see more white on white violence, so feel free to come back and argue with no state. Okay.
There's only one white guy on the panel.
I don't know where Glenn was. Glenn would have been good here tonight. Glenn would have been so good here tonight. But guys, if you want to leave us, because this has been an amazing show and I don't want to end it abruptly, I would like to hear your last take on this. Is the beginning of the end for the Passport Bros?
Well, I'll just say that it's gonna whether it's the beginning or the end, maybe for that Passport Bro, it may be the end of him traveling around, maybe he's exposed, but I think there'll always be that element. As long as there's money and poor people, there's going to be somebody to exploit it. Yeah, I mean, you can see it here. I mean, we saw with the guest earlier. He's got his hustle, and it's talking to the people that, although he says they're not Passport Bros, it's kind of leaning that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it's no different than these life coaches. They target people with insecurities. That's their bread and butter. So
yeah, and I want to add to something I noticed. I wanted to say when he was on here, like he was saying, like I'll say, I hate to be picking on him, but it's like I'll say, don't bring your friend. I mean, well, yeah, okay, you're like the person. I can go down to the French Quarter and the lady can read out my sign and things, and yeah, she'll get some hits. There'll be somebody that says, yeah, that's right, but that's like, I don't know. I thought his hustle was fun,
I don't know what his hustle is. I mean, I don't have an opinion on that. What his hustle is. My experience with him is not negative. But as long as he's not pushing the sex tourism, I haven't seen his videos, so I really don't want to comment on that. But it seems like he's trying to find people like himself. And I could be wrong. I don't have the evidence.
He's an expat. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have the facts.
You don't think, and Andre's welcome up here anytime. His wife is welcome up here anytime. Like, listen, we roast and kick each other's asses up here. He is welcome. He got offended. And left. He's welcome up here at any freaking time that he wants to come up. I don't even know why he got offended. I actually thought he had tougher skin because he's been doing this for a long time. But I'm going to press. Because I'm going to ask the audience. My chat wants to know, right?
No, it's good to give pushback, though. I don't think, it's not about, you have to give pushback. Like your guest is the only white guy on the panel. He gave me pushback, and I actually, it's a good thing. It actually has you think.
Right.
Yeah. It's not. I don't want you to be. I was hoping you wouldn't take offense to it.
No, I didn't actually. No.
That's just what we do here on the block.
A certain way. I didn't take offense to it. It's
I'm
normal.
trying to get more New York.
You can't agree with everyone every time. I mean, you could be an undercover passport bro in Spain, right? We don't know.
The problem is too with the content is that it turns into sex tourism. Now he can, they could promote it like, no, just find out what Latinas want. But the people that are watching, Latina speaking, the people that are watching are not thinking, oh, Latina likes flowers and at noon. No, they're thinking, how can I get to smash a Latina? We all know it. Let's not play stupid.
That's like the more I think about it, that shit is offensive as hell. Like I just,
the truth is they wouldn't be able to pull it in the States, right? So if they're not able to pull a certain type of Latino woman in the States, so they're getting a higher quality, even though it's a lower class woman, but better looking according to what they think is attractive in another country. It's easier because these women come from a lower class, working class, or whatever class they come from. They're not targeting the ones that are higher classes. And that's why I'm surprised when he brought that up. There's probably a handful. It's not common. You don't see foreigners. I don't want to generalize, but you're not seeing foreigners in Colombia running around. Look at my wife. She's a doctor. Just want to introduce you to my wife. That's not happening. I'm telling you. Look at my wife. She's a
They're
nurse.
not number 5 on this. They're just number 3. They're not the 5s.
Right? No, I mean that's not happening because every Tom, Dick, and Harry will be traveling to Colombia tomorrow talking about I'm going to pick up a doctor or a nurse. It's not happening. It's happening to it's a very small minority. And you have to live in the country. You have to speak the language. We can go on and on and on. A doctor's not interested unless she's what the Chinese call leftover women. Colombians have the same dynamic or the same dilemma where you have these older women who can't get married. The older guys are hooking up with the younger women. So the older women, they have their careers. It's harder for them to settle down. So it's easier for a foreigner to try to settle down with an older woman that might be a professional.
A spinster. A spinster.
To
A
African
spinster.
Goddess, listen to African Goddess, hit that like button, Passport Hoes. I know y'all watching Passport Hoes. Yeah, this is a safe space, Passport Hoes. Hit that subscribe button for me. Almost at 4,000. I do want to, let's close out, guys. I love what Keith David said. He has a point. He said, I'm telling you, they fucked it up. They already looking at us like low life predators.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But guess what, Jen? Guess what? A couple of I think like a month or two ago, didn't I tell you they was gonna fuck this shit up? I said, mark my words, they gonna fuck this shit up. Because I know black men. I was like, they gonna fuck this shit up.
Hey, Brienne.
Don't you love ain't God good?
All the time.
Won't he do it? Hallelujah.
All the time. Right? No saying?
That's right.
Hallelujah.
They won't come up, Keith. They won't come up.
I tried, Keith David. Here's the thing. Let me make this announcement because I still got a lot of people in the room. Please hit that subscribe. Get me to 4,000. Gracias. They are more than welcome. I am on the block with Jen at Gmail. Passport Bros, if you want to come and defend your honor, by all means, hit me up. Say, hey, let's do this again on whatever day. I'll sit up here with 10 Passport Bros with my panel and we could discuss it. Come on up.
Bring that energy, man. Bring that energy, man. I got you over there.
I'll let these guys. I'll let these guys know because I run into them, and honestly, between you and I give them a lot of pushback. But the problem is, I'm not going to speak on behalf of black men or any type of men. They're not going to listen to me anyway, right? But I tell them, hey, you got to do it. Be careful. Do this. You can't do that. I'm always giving advice. I've even challenged Austin Holloman, and then I came back and we discussed it. But I gave him a lot of pushback. So I don't just go along with these guys. I break it down and I'm telling them, look, it's not what you guys think it is, because they're coming back and body bags are mentally damaged.
But you know what? It has to keep happening. I remember in the Dominican Republic, a lot of Americans were getting killed and drugged, their drinks, and it was a running meme and a joke. But it stopped the tourism, did it not? It stopped people from going to the Dominican Republic, and they had to clean that up. And I think that's what has to happen, where more guys are going to be, unfortunately, getting their ticker stopped out, in these foreign countries for them to stop. I just need them to quit acting like a bunch of rabid animals online. And, and we called out Andre too. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to talk about American women to get men to go out there.
Yeah, I agree. And let me say this just really quick. A lot of these guys are assuming they see black women in Latin America and they're like the black women in the United States. They're not. At the end of the way, these Afro-Colombians or Afro-Brazilians or Afro-Dominicans or whatever you want to call it in the Dominican Republic, they don't see them the same. At the end of the day, these guys think, oh, she's black. Oh, yeah, she's black from the outside, but she's Latina from the inside.
So you still get...
You understand what I'm saying? It's like, it's like...
because they don't go by color, they go by nationality.
They don't.
Americans
go by
the
color,
only people that really go
black
by
men
color.
are mistaking color, and that's getting them in a lot of trouble. As a matter of fact, there was a guy from Atlanta who met his wife
You stay on top of these stories, don't you? You must watch all the
No, he's got the mutts.
I lived in Colombia. You know, I have these conversations with my Colombian friends. They're like, hey, another American got killed. I said, really? Tell me about it. So the guy from Atlanta, he's Black American from Atlanta. He married a Colombian, Afro-Colombian woman from Stratus 1, the lowest class, right? And he bought a three-unit building. You could watch his video on YouTube. He put all his information out on YouTube. I'm buying a $200,000 building. Here's my fiance. I'm becoming a Colombian. Everything was on. I can tell you every mistake he made. No lawyer involved. He mistaken an Afro-Colombian woman for a Black American woman. I can go down the list. It's not the same. She might look black on the outside, but she's a Latina on the inside.
Will get cut on the inside.
Okay.
Guys,
Yeah.
any other parting? Not you, Rod. Any
Sure.
other parting thoughts before we out here? Thank you so much for the super chat, B Money. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything.
I got some parting thoughts. Don't be afraid of the New York energy, man. You know what I mean? We talk to each other like that, man. And you know what I mean? We tend to talk to each other in a disrespectful manner. But you know what I mean? We get over it. You know, we shake hands and we keep it moving, man.
I love
You know what I
language.
mean? We speak to each other disrespectfully, but we don't disrespect you. If that makes sense.
No,
If that makes sense.
no, y'all just some heathens. Every
You
single
know
one
what
of
I mean?
y'all.
Like, you know, if we say like, yo, what are you, a fucking idiot? I don't really mean you're a fucking idiot. I
Hey,
wouldn't be talking to you. I'm just asking you respectfully, are you a fucking idiot? So, you know, I mean, that's how we are, man. You'll be okay. You'll
when
be
I say
okay.
fuck
You'll be all
off,
right.
when I say fuck off, I don't really want you to leave. Like,
Right.
where you going?
Like, hey, where you going? Where you going?
What kind of abuser conditioning is that? Like, hey, I'm gonna disrespect the shit out of you, but
With all
Like,
due respect.
even I was like, hey, where did he go? Like, what's he doing?
No, we could revisit this because I'm sure it's still going to be brewing. The Passport Bros are welcome. Andre's welcome. His wife is welcome. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome to the block. Okay, we are open. My panel is open for anybody to come up and rebut. Be like, no, it wasn't $40. It was $50. Come on up and explain. Hit that subscribe for me. Lee, you have anything for us? Save the best for last. You have anything for us before we go out, or no? You have anything? We are. If not, we are out of here.
I feel like we covered it all. Thank you for joining us, Rod.
Yes.
Thank you for allowing me to sit in.
Enjoy Mexico City. I love it down there. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's got over I think 100 museums.
I know. I've been to a bunch of them.
And then believe it or not, one of the top 10 museums on the planet. It's incredible. I got to come back again. This is my first time here.
Did you go to Frida Cola?
I didn't have time. I'm only here for 2 days. I'll be back next Monday. I got to go down to another city here in Mexico for a conference. But 100 museums. If you ever get a chance to come to Mexico, if you like history and culture,
Yep.
It's got everything you can imagine when it comes to museums. I mean, incredible. I couldn't believe it.
No, it's awesome.
Dawn, thank you. Dawn said, I don't think anyone was disrespectful. He was just challenged. Great show. Thanks. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, Andre leaving us. Okay.
Oh, that was fuck off.
Right. Thank you so much, Don Levant, for the super chat.
Please you guys hit the subscribe button. You got how many people in the room hit the subscribe button, please? I did.
Is enough people in the room to get me to that 4,000 right now? I don't know why.
So let's do it before you close out.
Hit the subscribe button.
Get the 4,000. She might shimmy for you, like she did for that 99.
Let's hit that 4,000. I'll shimmy. I'll do the belly dance. I can belly dance. All right, guys. So we're out here. Woo! This was a doozy. This was a great one. Let's revisit. I think there's more meat on here. There's more meat on here.
Tristan.
Is it? Tristan, take us out, baby.
What can I put?
This is gonna be interesting because tonight was. Woo.
Don't drop your passport in the shower.
Hold on.
You gotta have these ready, brother.
You got he had 4 hours. You have one job.
What? Yo, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
He had one job.
Don't do me like that.
We gotta show
See,
Rob how we end our shows.
okay. All right. Put me on the big screen. For all you passport bros, every time she asks you if you have a passport, this is what I see. You got a passport. You look like a clown license. That's your passport. That's how y'all look with these passport nowadays. I love you all. Class dismissed.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. My amazing panel. If you guys wanna challenge Tristan's last thought, then hit me on the block with Jen at Gmail. I'll have the passport bros to come up here. I don't want to talk about y'all all the time without y'all in the room. Feel free to hit me on the block with Jen at Gmail. Come on up, talk to the panel. Let us know what's really going on out there with them passports. Hit me on tomorrow we're doing, yes, Brianne LaFay. Tomorrow we're doing Charm School for the ladies. Tomorrow is Pick Me Night. Yes, we're going full Pick Me on the block with Jen tomorrow. Okay, it's gonna be all about etiquette and what men need and want from us. We're going full-blown Pick Me. Okay, no masculinity tomorrow. I'm gonna be on my P's and Q's. I may even have my teacup and my gloves on. All right, guys, so tomorrow, don't forget Pick Me Night. Okay, tomorrow all night. Starting we'll be up usual time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much. This was amazing. I feel good about this stream in particular. I love my panel. If you enjoyed them, please come back. Hit that like and subscribe for me. I'm trying to get to 4K. I'm literally a couple of subscriptions away from it. You want to continue supporting the show after I calm down, hit me Cash App on the block with Jen. Cash App is open 24 hours a day. Thank you so much for everybody who held me down in the chat and all those amazing, generous super chats for tonight. Thank you to all the people who just started watching. Thank you for all the great comments. We can't do this without you. Stay tuned. We're going to keep bringing you the real, and you know how we get down on the block, okay? Have a great night, guys.